All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to be officially starting our meeting. Today is May 7th, Thursday, May 7th, 2026. This is our basketball officials training, and we're just discussing some professionalism tips and pointers that you need to know getting ready to go into camp. And right now, I have Jeff Rutledge just kind of share a story about being professional. And when you do attend camps, and just understand that people are watching you even when you don't think that they're watching you. All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, yeah, I went to, I'll say whose camp it was. Doesn't matter. It doesn't work. He's not assigning anymore, at least not assigning that. But I went to Curtis Shaw's camp. I want to say either right before the pandemic or maybe right after the pandemic. I can't remember. But we were at the camp and we had to go through the line, and Curtis Shaw, who was the assigner at the time of the Big 12, was sitting at the table, and I had to kind of, we had to pay either whatever for the registration. So I was bringing cash. So I'm sitting right in front of an official who is not in the Chicagoland area, and I did know him. And he apparently had lost a lot of weight and probably lost maybe 50 pounds. Might have been like something like 50 pounds. And he wasn't like in bad shape, but he's a tall guy and whatever. So I literally was like right behind him, and Curtis Shaw saw him and immediately said, "Dang, you lost some weight." Like, and I'm like, and when he said that, I even said to myself, I said, that's a very interesting comment that he made, that he noticed that, and we haven't even worked the game yet. Well, later that summer, which, all the assigners around August sometime inform who they are picking up, and he was one of them. As a matter of fact, he didn't outwardly say it on social media that he got picked up, but he made a comment that kind of was like, I bet he got picked up. So I contacted him. I said, "Did you get hired?" And sure enough, he did. And he doesn't work a lot, but he does work for, I think, at least two consortiums right now. So I mean, just it's little stuff like that, and that was just off of memory that Curtis had, because he must have been on the radar to come to that camp, or when he was coming to that camp, for him to pay attention to who, because they probably told him to, that, you need to lose a little weight, you need to, whatever. And again, he wasn't an incredibly big guy. He wasn't like, 300 pounds, but he's about 6'2", 6'3", maybe. I worked with him this year at a game. And he probably might, he probably like about 220, but he carries 220 differently than maybe somebody else. He might have been like 250, 260 before that. So he got hired just off of that. I mean, I don't say it's just off of that. There were some other things that were related, but he got hired. So there you
Yeah,
go.
and and I know that there was another story. I think I was on a Zoom training with some college officials, and similar situation, gentleman, but it was kind of the opposite for him. So, gentleman official came through the registration table. Some ladies were there doing registration. There were some issues with the registration. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe they had the wrong contact info or whatever. And the referee that was going through the registration that they was talking to, just for the sake of the conversation, I'll say his name was John. So John was, going through the registration, trying to check in and do this, that, and the other. And, due to the fact that there was some discrepancies with his registration, he tended to get a little agitated. Agitation turned into a little frustration. They tried to resolve the issue. He still was just really highly upset, this, that, and the other. Long story short, they ended up, letting them in or what have you after they finally resolved it, maybe after a couple of minutes or whatever the case may be. And the clinician who was hosting the camp, began opening up, welcome everybody out. Thanks for coming. The traditional, conversation that you usually hear at the beginning of a camp session. And then all of a sudden, they pull up a video and they pull up a video of this referee at the registration table getting frustrated with the staff, blowing his top, losing his cool. And they showed this in front of everybody, probably 5 or 10 minutes after it happened when they opened up the ceremonies to start the clinic for that camp session. Needless to say, that official didn't get hired. But the clinician actually did that on purpose to see, and he wasn't the only one they did that to. They did that as a setup to see who's going to be able to handle the pressure, and meaning that sometimes we all know we have issues in everyday life, off the court, with our families, with our jobs, with, whatever. This is just to get started in the camp. This is not even to start a game. This is just to start a camp. He's trying to get hired. He didn't know this. Nobody knew this. But this was something that the clinician did just to try to see who can handle certain situations. How do they handle pressure? What's going on? And that was just a bad look. But it also told exactly like what people do in certain situations. Okay. And so needless to say, he didn't get hired, but there were a couple other people who actually did the opposite of what he did, and they handled it professionally. They were calm, they were cool, they were collected. And so that was that clinician's or that assigner's way of trying to weed out people from day one, from the beginning of the registration camp. So you just never know what people are going to say or do. So it's always best to be on your P's and Q's, just to be aware, just to know, you know, how to be professional. Because again, part of our job, especially as you move up the ladder, there are a lot of things, and we say this all the time. There are things sometimes that may happen off the court that, if you don't handle it right, it can help you make you lose your job on the court, and you don't.
Clarence,
But
I got even better story than that.
no,
And
go,
and
go
and
for
I'm and part of the reason I'm saying that because you said the registration table.
it. Right.
Okay, I got a better one. I'm
Mm,
in Atlantic City. I go to Atlantic City for a camp. Matter of fact, I'll say it was the ACC camp. Um, and there weren't many Illinois officials there or
mm,
Illinois Midwest officials there when I went. And this was a few years back. Well, anyway, so I go to this camp. There's a Starbucks right around the corner from the convention center. This is in Atlantic City. Gambling, all this other stuff. Just literally there's a Starbucks. It's like a little kind of shopping center area right around the corner. And a lot of officials or a lot of people going into the convention center went to Starbucks, because they might go to Starbucks, get their coffee, and then go in because the when we were there, not many of the vendors or whatever were open. So they start the meeting, and one of the first things that they talk about was there was a person who apparently went to Starbucks, got whatever he got something for somebody else who happened to be a homeless person, put it next to him, the homeless person on the street, and I don't know if he's laying down, I don't know the whole story, but and went to the thing. So you would have thought nobody's paying attention to this. This is one of the first things that they brought up in that meeting. And said, and matter of fact, said that it was somebody in the camp because and I think it might have been Brian Kersey, who's the signer for supervisor for the ACC. I think said something first, and then John Cahill, who was the supervisor for the Big East on the men's side, wanted to know who that person was. He insisted. And the guy, kind of said that was me, but nobody knew. No, we did not see this. I mean, this is not something he did for the public. This was something we're just literally many people parking and have to walk to the convention center, which was probably a couple blocks or whatever, depending on where you parked to get to the convention center, or you parked and then went to the Starbucks, was right around this across the street, and went in. So what my point is that they're watching you even when you think you aren't being watched. It's like, just like he said, they might have set that up, But even when you're in those cities and those towns or wherever you go to camp or wherever the case may be, you might run into, especially if you're at the major hotel, you might run into staff consistently. And they will judge you based on every time they see you. What did you wear? What did you, what did who you talk to? Are you talking to other people when you're in the meeting room area? Things like that. They want to know if you're a likable person. And that has nothing to do with you getting on that court directly. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Because if you're a nice person in this business and you get along, you can talk to many people and this, that, the other, they'll look at you and say, well, that person, other people like him or her, that might be a person I need to look at. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it may not be the thing that gets you hired then. It might be the thing that gets you hired next year or the year after. Because if they see the same pattern, they might make some judgments based on that, and especially at that level. Not necessarily, well, I mean, I don't know how many situations that we're going to be involved in and at the lower levels like that because there's not a lot of people coming from out of town and hotels and stuff like that. So there's not as many interactions other than maybe at the facility. But they pay attention to all of that stuff. And let me even say this, guys, when you go to camp too, um, it's very important how you interact with the clinicians and your fellow officials. And what I mean by that is if you are watching a game, the conversations that you have when you're sitting on the sideline, you need to be very aware of because they're,
And this is
believe it or
not,
not,
and this is not just college camps. This is high school camps too.
right, and yes, so they're definitely high school camp, and what I mean by that is, if you know you got to work a game, and let's just say it's at 2 o'clock on court 3, I would always suggest that you go to court 3 to find out who the clinicians are, to watch at least a good portion of the game in front of you, and listen to everything that clinician has to say. Because what will often happen is when they start talking about something that crew didn't do, you need to put that in your mental Rolodex, and that might be something that they care about. Like they might, and it might be a little thing. It might be, hey, I need you to stay wide on this particular play, and I need you to come down on this play as the center of the trail, or I need you to not make that kind of call in this particular game, or this that other, because that little thing can be like, man, and if you do it and they notice it that you did it, or you don't do the same thing that the other crew did, that could be world of what your evaluation might look like. So, and then on top of that, don't be these officials who stand back and just when the clinician goes and talks to the crew. I always go to where I want to hear what they're saying, unless the clinician tells you, and sometimes that does happen. Sometimes I want to just talk to these guys. I don't want anybody around. That is extremely rare. But when they go and talk to the crew, there should be 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 officials, 15 in the right situation, listening to what that clinician is saying. Because that clinician is probably going to give you a nugget that is probably going to, that not only will take in that game on their floor, might take it somewhere else. I'll say this and I'll leave it at that. Keith Kimball. I don't know if anybody knows who Keith Kimball is.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just took a picture with him, didn't you? They camp.
He
Yeah,
worked
I
the
met him a
final.
few weeks ago.
Yeah, he worked the Final Four. He's worked it almost every year the last several years, at least in some capacity. He worked this year. He had the Arizona Michigan game. Okay, and this is and I worked a game. I wasn't even on his court, and I worked a game. Just got off the floor, whatever the case may be, and Keith's over there talking about 15 dudes. And I'm like, I need to go over there and find out what Keith talking about. Keith goes on this rant about open looks. One of the best things I've ever heard about open looks my entire career. And I've literally, he goes on, he's talking to 15 brothers. Okay, I can't make this up. And the game is over, and this, that, other. I don't know what happened in the game, but I just sat there, and he went on for another 20 minutes about open looks. and went on this thing about open looks, and it was like he was basically said, I don't give two craps about your primary or your secondary. You are not calling anything unless you have an open look. And it was such a great thing. So last year, maybe the year before, I went to him because I heard him say that. I said, Keith, that was one of the best things I've ever heard. And that made me 10 times better just because I listened to what you were talking about on that particular game. And later on in that camp, and it wasn't that game he was talking about, but he wasn't watching. He knew a girl. There was a girl from California that was in the camp, and I guess he must have been watching a little bit of her game. She works Division 1, or she has worked a little Division 1. And I had a play where I'm the lead. It kind of on her side, kind of curls into the inside. The inside player slaps at the kid's arm, knocks the ball out, but he got his arm. He didn't get the ball. That's all I call a foul. Now my partner got upset with me and thought I took a call. That was her thing. And then I said that Bert Smith was our collision. So I asked Bert, like, Bert, did you see this? Because and I didn't want to sell her out. I just was like, I just like, did I make a call that I wasn't supposed to make? And then I went to Keith because Keith was on the next court over, and I said, Keith, you just told us about this, open look thing, blah 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 blah. I just had a play. I'm just wondering, am I doing this right? Was that what I was supposed to do? Because I was genuinely curious, and I didn't say who my partner was. I didn't throw her under the bus. I just was like, my partner kind of went off on me about this play. This that the other. He said, no, I saw the play. That's exactly what I was talking about. And then it just like, okay, reassured me. And ever since then, my entire game has changed because I do not call fouls on things I do not have an open look on. And that was just a relationship. And he dates a girl that's actually on my she's Division 1 official too, who's on my page too. Um, uh, she's really sweet, but she's out of California, and I think he lives in California now. But these are relationships that you pick up that when you go to other camps, and I'm gonna tell you, you guys start going to the bigger camps, they're gonna be some of the same clinicians. You're gonna follow, even at the lower level, you're gonna follow clinicians, and your relationship and how you behave in that one camp might literally help you in the next one. Because when I got hired for Division 2, the absolute staff that was at the NAIA camp I was at the week before was literally at the Division 2 camp the 2 weeks after that. And it was the same things. And the stuff that they saw me do got me hired in both. So keep that stuff in mind.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to kind of get into tonight's information. We are talking about shot clock. And I just want to share these resources. I've been sending out emails since maybe a couple of weeks after the season was over. So if you go back and look in your email, you'll see this information um, about shot clock for IHSA. So, and we're going to cover all of that, but I'm just sharing as a resource. Again, you're going to see this a lot. So get familiar with it, spread the word, let the officials know. Myself and Jeff and Tracy have been working with our state clinician, Gary Gustafson, as you all may know, since August of last year. And we've been very adamant about making sure that the information for officials, as far as the shot clock rules and protocols and things, was accurate and posted on the IHSA website. So right now, Jeff and I have been adamantly trying to, we created a YouTube channel, as you see here, the IHSA basketball officials. So if you go to YouTube, it's public, so anybody in the world can go search for it. But go to IHSA basketball officials. I would actually tell you, if you can, go there and subscribe to the channel. That way, anytime we post any new videos, any information, you'll be the first to get the updates, and you can go check out any new content that's posted on the page. So far as you see here is different types of shot clock plays that we have already posted on here. This particular video right here with this black background, this first one to the left, this is the latest video we just posted. I would strongly encourage you to watch that video multiple times.
Hmm.
That is a presentation that Jeff and I put together. Jeff is actually doing a presentation that's going to explain the shot clock. We're going to kind of cover the presentation tonight, or as much as we can. But you're gonna see this over and over and over again. And again, Gary Gustafson, who's the state clinician, he really wants us to hone in on this because again, we don't want to be unprepared when we go into these various gyms throughout the state, throughout the city, throughout the suburbs, wherever you go in Illinois. We want our officials to be ready. Yes, we know a lot of the coaches may not read the rules, the players may not read the rules, the fans may not read the rules or know the rules. It is our job to be the teacher on the floor. So what does that mean? That means in order to be the teacher, you have to study the material to know the material to teach to the students. Okay, so consider the teams and the coaches and the players the students. Okay, for lack of a better phrase. All right, but that is the goal. All right, so if you want to, at your free time, anytime you want to, I would say click on this video. Again, it's just Jeff, going through the actual presentation so that you can get a better understanding. Now, let me say this. Everything that's in this particular video as of today is the 2025-26 IHSA shot clock rules and protocols. Okay. We are still waiting for any updates to be approved by the IHSA Board of Directors for the 26-27 season. So all the content that you're going to see up until they make their approval, which I think won't happen until maybe middle of end of June, everything that's on the IHSA website is in relationship to the 25-26, shot clock rules. All right. But again, you still need to know those rules. There may be some slight modifications that we kind of know, but we're not privy to share just yet. But you need to study those rules. Okay. I can tell you now that the changes won't be drastic, where it's going to shift a whole bunch of rules, anything like that. There's just going to be a few minor tweaks to the new rules once they become approved or if they become approved. But other than that, everything else is going to be the same as the 25-26 rules. So again, get familiar with that, learn it, study it like the back of your hand, just as if this is your first year officiating. Even if you are a college official, still study it because there are maybe some small nuances that may be different from college versus high school. All right. The IHSA website, it's right here. If you're looking for boys or girls shot clock information, you click on where it says sports and activities up here. Click on either boys or girls, either one. They're going to have the same resources, but I'm just going to click boys just for the sake of the link that's right here. And then on the far right, you want to click on resources. Okay. You click on resources. And if you scroll down towards the bottom of the page, same thing for the girls, you see this area down here. It says shot clock. Okay. Right up in here, everything underneath this is where it says shot clock. All of these documents are active and current. Again, we were very intentional about putting these up during the fall of the 25-26 season. So they've been up for almost a year now, or it'll be a year in the fall. Again, these are the rules changes that we are going to be training at all camps, all clinics throughout Illinois. Okay, so you're going to see this if you go to multiple camps and clinics. You should see this this information about shot clock being taught, being trained. Yes, it may be in slightly different forms, but the general information will be taught. So you need to get used to hearing it. Don't say, oh, I already did this once, I'm good. No, you need to hear it over and over again. Why? Because the key to learning is repetition. Okay. I promise you, if you've never worked shot clock before, if you have not mastered the regular rules without shot clock, it may be a bit challenging. Okay. Because now you're trying to process the new rules, but then you're trying to put the new rules in action when you're on the floor. And if you haven't studied the rules and these different trainings that we're offering for free, tell your friends as well as yourself, you need to be on these trainings because, again, it'll make it so much easier for you when you get on the floor if you've been through the trainings already. Or if you got questions about various types of plays or rules, or you're not sure about this, about that, or positioning, or what the protocols are, you got to study this stuff. It's not that this is not a one time, oh, I'm going to read this one time and I'm good. You got to do it over and over again. And I can't stress that enough. Okay. Just like, in order to, work a championship game, you have to work hundreds and maybe thousands of games before you get to that championship game. Okay. That's the kind of concept you got to think about with this shot clock. Now, we do know because this is new in Illinois, There will be some officials, actually, most of the officials in Illinois probably have never worked shot clock before. So this is going to be new. What does that mean for you as an official? That means that you want to be well prepared. So no matter what crew you're on, you're the most knowledgeable person on the rules and regulations as possible. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that you flexing your muscle like, you the end all to be all, but you want to know the rules and regulations. So if something does happen, at least you know the rules and how to adjudicate the rule when needed. Okay. Now, again, tonight's crew you may be on, everybody on the crew may be familiar with the shot clock rules, may have some shot clock experience. Tomorrow, you may not have anybody on the crew that knows anything about the shot clock, and you all trying to figure it out. So it could change from day to day, crew to crew, tournament to tournament, shootout to shootout, whatever. You want to be prepared. You don't want to be the one on the crew that's the weak link, as I like to say. Okay. You do not want to be the weak link and thinking that, oh, well, I'm working with Clarence, so I'm good. I don't need to know the rules. No, you do need to know the rules. Because I'm going to tell you now, if you work with me, I'm going to challenge you and see how much you know. You're going to be the crew chief. I want to see how much you know, how much you've been preparing. Because again, the rules have been on the website for almost a year now. So it's no excuse to say, oh, well, I don't know the rules. Okay. You work with Jeff, you're going to be the crew chief. You work with Vern, you're going to be the crew chief. You work with any veteran official, in most cases, they're going to make you the crew chief to see what do you know? How much do you know? They want to hear your pregame. Okay, well, what are we going to do if we get a 10-second backcourt violation? How are we handling that as a crew? Who's going to make that call? These are conversations that you got to have from pregame throughout your game and maybe even post-game meeting or conversation just to keep, again, so that you learn and that you know the rules for yourself. Because guess what? Guess who the people that don't know the rules? The coaches. Guess who's gonna come challenging you about calls? The coaches, the players. Okay, so you gotta know these rules. Okay, so take the time out. Put it in your schedule. If it's nothing but 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Study the rules. Go to the YouTube channel, watch the videos, make it part of your routine. I promise you, if you do that, you will be getting more calls to work more games because guess what? That assigner or whoever's picking you up to ask you to work those games, they believe that you know the rules or they've seen you work and they say, okay, Zach is really good at the shot clock. He's getting a lot better. I see he's progressing. He's studying because it's going to show who's studying and who doesn't study. Okay, so again, go and watch the rules, go to the YouTube channel, watch the different videos. Okay, there's other videos that we've been recording that we posted on here as well. Okay, so it's not just the shot clock videos, there's other types of, previous meetings we've had. We posted those on there. There's other plays on there. Like we're putting a whole bunch of resources out here for the officials in Illinois so that we all can be successful. Okay, because we realized that there wasn't anything out there. So we took the privilege of making sure that we said, okay, well, we'll roll up our sleeves and we'll get this done. All right. Any questions at this point about shot clock so far? Okay. Again, study these things here. The last document on here is called shot clock situations. Okay, this is one of the documents on the shot clock page. Again, under the boys and girls resources, there's 28 different situations that are on this document. Okay, and most of them are common situations dealing with shot clock. Okay, under with the Illinois rules of the 35 seconds and 20-second resets. Okay, study these situations. Study these situations. Study these situations. Think of them like case plays. Study them. Remember them. Why? Because there's a strong likelihood you're going to experience some of these. Either they may be on a test, they may be a quiz, it may happen in a real game situation. Be prepared. Okay. You be prepared. Okay. If you got fellow officials that you know need to study, guess what? Get your little study group. Go over this stuff. You don't have to wait till we have these Zoom calls or wait till we, facilitate a meeting. You can do this on your own. You can call up some of your buddies or get together and go to Starbucks and sit down, bring your rule books, talk this stuff out. Again, challenge your thinking so that you can be prepared to get on the floor. All right. Now, I'm going to go into, well, Jeff, do you have the slide show up or you want me to do it?
You can do it. I mean, I can assist whatever.
Okay. All right. So let me pull this up here. Give me 1 second, everybody. All right. And again, we're just going to kind of go through some of this presentation. We may not cover it all tonight, uh, but we just want to kind of cover it so that you guys know what to expect. And again, this is what you're going to probably see uh, when you go to camps and clinics. You'll probably see the same presentation, same information. But again, these are just some common examples that we were able to find video footage of. Doesn't mean that this is, the only thing that you need to know. These are just common examples, common situations dealing with shot clock. There may be tons of plays that, have yet to be recorded that, we'll probably get footage of at a later date and time. But again, we just wanted to make sure that you guys have something to look at and something to study so that way you are prepared when you are on the floor. All right. All right. So then again, this is for the 26-27 season, but the content as of today that it will be in this presentation will be coming from the 25-26 season. So just so you guys know that. All right. All right. Let me see here. All right. All right. So again, all of this stuff has been submitted to the IHSA. It's been approved by Gary Gustafson, who's our head basketball clinician, as well as Beth Sauser and Chris Swartz, who are the executive directors of basketball for IHSA, girls and boys basketball. This information, again, has been shared with them. They have approved it. And any future changes that may come from them to Gary, as well as, the rest of the state clinicians, we'll update this, the documents as we get any current changes for the 26-27 season that are approved by the IHSA board. All right. So shot clock is mandatory for all regular season and postseason contests for the 26-27 season. All regular season and postseason contests. So somebody asked that question earlier. Will they be using it in the postseason and state tournament? Yes. So this is what the rule is. It's in the rule book 2-14 is the guideline for shot clock. It is in the rule book, so you can definitely go through it and look at it and get familiar with it. Okay. The mercy rule does not change the shot clock rules according to the IHSA procedures. So, fourth quarter, we know that the mercy rule is 30 points or more. A team is winning by 30 points or more in the fourth quarter at any point in the fourth quarter. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's the beginning of the fourth quarter, halfway through the fourth quarter, whatever. As soon as that point differential on the scoreboard is 30-point difference, the mercy rule automatically kicks in. Right now, again, this is what it is. So you need to know that the shot clock does not change because we're using the mercy rule. It still operates just as if it was regular part of the game without the mercy rule. All right. All right, 35-second shot clock. It must be mounted mounted on and behind the backboard, meaning that if this is the top of the backboard, the shot clock can't sit directly on top of it. It has to sit recessed behind it. Okay, so if this is the top of the backboard, I'll do it like this. Okay, the shot clock can't sit, the face of the shot clock can't sit this way. It has to be behind. Okay, the reason being because if the ball hits the top of the backboard, that's still fair play as long as it doesn't go behind the backboard. Okay, the moment it goes behind, which the shot clock should be behind the backboard, then that means that the ball would automatically be out of bounds. Okay, that's why the shot clock can't sit directly on top. It has to be behind the backboard. Okay, the separate clock device and separate individual running the shot clock. I'm sorry. Uh, Yes. So basically, we want to make sure that the LED lights and things like that are only used for the game clock expiration. Okay. The LED, if there are LED lights, which some gyms may not have that on their backboards, if they do have LED lights, meaning when the game clock hits zero is when the LED light should go off, not when the shot clock hits zero. Okay. If the shot clock hits zero and the LED lights go out, the IHSA wants us to write a special report to the IHSA in regards to that, so that they can notify the school that they have to make that adjustment. All right. All right. So, and then we know, like we said before, that the shot clock operator must be sitting at the table with the scorekeeper and the timekeeper. All right. So this is when the shot clock starts. When team gains control of the jump ball and on a rebound, offensive rebound is when the shot clock will start, or on a rebound, I should say. Okay. The ball is legally touched on a throw in. Also, is when the shot clock will start. Okay. So remember those situations. Here's an example with a jump ball situation. The referee goes in the middle, and this is a 3-person crew. Ball is tossed. Okay. This is when the game clock starts, when the two jumpers or either one of the jumpers touch the ball. And then when the other player touches the ball or gains possession of the ball is when the shot clock starts. So the first question would be that you need to ask yourself if you were challenging yourself just to learn the rules is okay, when does the game clock start, during the jump ball? Well, obviously the answer would be when the ball is tapped by one of the jumpers. Okay, when does the shot clock start? When the ball is possessed by one of the players on the outside of the circle. Okay, or again, knowing the jump, the started game rules for jump ball. Okay, there could be an exception to that. I mean, it doesn't. It may be one of the jumpers. If the ball hits the floor after the ball is touched by one of the jumpers, then the jumper can hit the jumper. One of the jumpers can possess the ball, and the shot clock can start at that point as well. So again, you just need to know these rules again because they can get a little tricky because now you're trying to process this in real time. Okay, so it's going to take some time to get familiar with it. So again, challenge your thinking so that way you'll know what you're supposed to do and how things should go. All right. So again, I'll play it again for you. Okay. Again, this is a 3-person crew. If this was a 2-person crew, same concept. Okay. The U1 would chop the clock in like normal. Okay. And then the shot clock would start once the possession happens. Okay. The game clock will start on the tap as usual. Nothing changes there. Okay. Any questions so far? If you have a question, either put it in the chat or just unmute and ask along the way so we can try to get the questions answered. All right. So here, white scores, black takes the ball out of bounds. Now the shot clock starts when the ball is legally touched. Okay. Not possessed, touched. Okay. This is after the game has started. This is different between the jump ball. Okay. Remember we said jump ball, the shot clock starts on the possession. Okay. Now that the game has started, okay, now we're gonna make sure the shot clock starts when the ball is legally touched.
Hey, cool.
Yes.
I have a really quick question. So, with the shot clock being installed in the games now, we know that the people at the table, that varies. You never know if they're going to do their job correctly. What's the best way to manage that if they aren't starting the shot clock on time once the team scores or tip-ins and things like that?
Okay. So
Cool, cool. Let's get that. I'll say this. Let's go further through the presentation. We're going to talk about that a little later on
right.
the
Okay.
presentation.
Right. But
Okay.
the bottom line is this. We as officials, and I mean everybody on the crew, it's not just one person's responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility to pay attention to the shot clock, pay attention to the game clock throughout the game, throughout possessions, throughout plays, throughout situations, throughout turnovers. You got to keep looking at the clock to know if it's starting properly, if it's stopping properly, if it's reset properly, if it wasn't reset properly. So it's a constant looking back and forth at the shot clock or the game clock if it's an issue with the game clock. But primarily, since we're talking about shot clock, you have to keep looking at that shot clock. Okay, you can't just say, "Oh, they started it. Okay, I'm not going to look at it again until the whistle blows." No, you have to keep looking. Why? Because there are new people. This is new for the score table. Okay, it's new for the shot clock operator. Some of these people have never worked a shot clock ever in life. They don't know how to work it. They've seen it on TV, but they don't know how to work it themselves. So it's to our advantage to make sure that we pay attention because again, we're the ones managing the game. Okay, and we're the ones that need to be able to say, okay, did the shot clock start properly? Did it not start properly? Okay, and we just got to take a quick look to see that. Okay, we ain't got to stare at it all day because we're gonna miss the action, with the players. But you got to take a look. You got to get in the habit of taking a look. That goes without saying. Moving forward, dealing with shot clock, you have to constantly look at the shot clock. I can guarantee you, you go to camps and clinics, or if you officiate games with shot clock, or if you have a supervisor there, or an observer there, or an assigner there, they're gonna ask, why are you not looking at the shot clock? Or did you look at the shot clock? And when you shot the shot clock, how much time was on the shot clock? They're going to ask you these questions. So be prepared for it. Don't get caught like, oh man, I should have. Oh, okay. Get familiar with looking at the shot clock. Okay. Now, in this situation, I'll give you a perfect example. And I'll play this play again since this is the play we're talking about. So in this play, we got a 3-person crew. Okay. Like I said earlier, all 3 officials are responsible for the shot clock at all times. all three, or if it's a two-person, both officials are responsible for the shot clock at all times. So that means somebody that's okay in this particular place. He just made a basket. Okay, so since he just made a basket, guess what? Everybody should be taking a quick look at the shot clock to make sure it got reset properly. Okay, because right now I think it's like at 21 seconds or 20 some seconds. We really can't see it clearly up here. But my point is, okay, we know the ball's going through the rim. Okay, now here's a common sense thing you got to start thinking about. Okay, we know the lead is watching these players in the paint, right? So knowing that they're watching these players in the paint, there's a lot of action that could happen. Okay. So guess what? The lead still going to take a look, but when is the best time for the lead to take a look? When those players have separated and created space where they can't cause us any problems. They can take a look before that ball's inbounded. Okay. When can the center and the trail take a look? When that ball goes through, they need to take a look. Okay, did the shot clock reset? The nearest official near the scores table. If it didn't reset, you need to let them know 35, reset 35, reset 35, or whatever you want to say, but let them know that shot clock needs to be reset. Again, we have new people that's going to be working the shot clock. In most cases, they don't know or the timing of when they need to do this. So they may be a little late or they may be a little early. So you got to work with them. You're going to have to coach them. You're going to have to, be nice to them and cordial to them so that they can learn and have a smooth transition in the learning process as well. Okay. So again, like I said earlier, we will be the teachers on the floor. We're going to be teaching everybody through what we do and what we don't do. So it's going to be important that we make sure that we know what we're doing so that way we can help keep the game move along a lot smoother. All right.
Can I add too?
Go ahead.
As Coop said, the shot clock operator is going to be relatively new, right? So throughout the game, as we're coming up to court, if you're table side, just coach them up throughout the game. You don't have to every single time if it's like a second or two late, right? You don't want to stop the game flow and insert yourself into the game when you don't have to. And
Correct.
you also don't want to put the offense at a disadvantage. Same thing with the defense, depending on the situation. So, as we're going through the season, especially early on, try to coach them up during the game. That way, we don't interrupt the game flow.
Correct. Okay. Or even if it's like a timeout or a dead ball situation, maybe you notice something with the shot clock operator, either starting it too early, starting it on time, or it's not starting it when they need to, whatever the case may be. Go over there if you need to kind of give them a little pep talk or just remind them, hey, don't forget to reset on this situation or don't reset on that situation. Again, this is a learning process for everybody involved. Okay. So the more that you can make them comfortable, the more they're going to make your game a lot smoother. Okay. And again, from game to game, it could change. Maybe tonight you have an inexperienced person working shot clock. Maybe tomorrow you have somebody that knows how to do the shot clock. Trust me, you're gonna appreciate those people that know how to do it a whole lot more because it's gonna make your game a whole lot smoother. All right. All right. Here
One
goes.
one more thing I'll add too. Sorry. When you're looking at the shot clock, you also want to look at the game clock too, because in the case, right, like they don't start it on time, it's a tight game, and you have to have definite knowledge of where that game clock is. You want to make sure that you're looking at the game clock, finding that magic number for, let's say, a backcourt violation or, the 30-second violation potentially, shot clock violation. Just making sure that you have knowledge of what that magic number is.
Correct. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as far as the magic number. Um, but also understand too that every gym may not have the shot clock and game clock, kind of like when you go to the United Center or most of these arenas, they have the game clock, and the game clock is on top right above the shot clock. Some gyms will just have a shot clock on top of the backboard, and the game clock is mounted on the scoreboard, wherever the scoreboard is in the gym. You may have two scoreboards, you may have one scoreboard, maybe in eye line of sight of you running up and down the court. Sometimes the scoreboard is off to the side and you may not be able to always look at it, but you still need to be aware of it. Again, these are our responsibilities that we must constantly be aware of the game clock and the shot clock as much as possible. Again, that's why we said you got to study these rules, you got to know these rules because it's going to make your game a lot smoother when you know the rules and how to apply the rules. All right. So shot clock reset scenarios. We have three scenarios. We have a shot clock reset at 35, shot clock reset at 20, and shot clock that is not reset at all. Okay, or like we say, we like to call it no reset. Okay, so these are the three scenarios that we're going to cover. All right, so let's start with the 35-second reset. All right, change of team possession, defensive foul in the backcourt, free throws, technical fouls, and making sure that obviously we still inbound the balls at the division line. We do not inbound the ball after technical foul at the 28-foot line. Okay, so make sure you know that. Okay, start of a quarter or half or on the throw in. Okay, and defensive player kicking or fisting the violation in the backcourt. Again, those are situations where the shot clock is going to reset. So if the player hits the ball with their fist or kicks the ball or things like that, those are violations. And in that situation, especially in the backcourt, there'd be a 35-second reset. Okay. Okay. Here's another example. Jeff was so kindly and nice enough to share some of his plays. He's inbounding the ball. We got 27 seconds on the shot clock on the throw in. All right. Player throws the ball in. Okay. We have a live ball steal. Okay. Shot clock resets to 35. All right. Oh, we get another live ball steal. Shot clock resets back to 35. Just that fast. Okay. Now, this will be a common play that I'm sure some shot clock operators will probably get confused on, or the timing, like Miles mentioned earlier, they may be a second or two late to reset because they're trying to process what happened. Okay, so again, be patient. Try to use your best judgment to figure out, okay, and maybe there was a second or two late. It didn't affect the play. I don't want to put a whistle on that. But if you feel like it's going to affect the play, then obviously you need to put a whistle on it. Okay, and make sure that you adjust the time accordingly.
And let me say this. This is a play that probably you don't need to be so quick on if they go right to the basket.
Correct.
If they go right to the basket and they make a play, even if it wasn't reset properly, maybe make a mental note. So maybe you could say something later, but don't stop play just because that happened. Because what will happen is this play will happen. He'll go right to the basket. It could theoretically, maybe they didn't even reset it the first time. If they go right to the basket and make that basket or whatever, then you don't have to worry about it. Or if he misses it and they reset it to 20, which we'll talk about, you don't have to worry about it. But the point is that now the difference is if they steal that ball and then they pull it out, now we probably we're going to have to make a decision because now everybody's looking at what the clock says, and that
Mm-hmm.
those seconds mean something. So that is the time when you would change it. But in this situation where White steals it back, if they don't reset it, I'm not losing any sleep over it because what is it, 1 or 2 seconds that he goes to the basket at most. But again, if he steals it at half court and there's some defense, that is in front of him and he can't go right to the basket or they can't make an immediate play, then that's when you change it.
That's good. And here's the other thing. This is what I was just talking about earlier. You notice this shot clock, it has two times. It has the game clock, the 5:32, and it has the shot clock in red. Okay, so again, every shot clock may not have both. Some will just be shot clock only. Okay, so now you have to know where the game clock is anywhere in the gym to know how much time is on the game clock versus shot clock and what Miles is talking about. And again, the magic number, and we'll let Jeff kind of explain that too a little bit later. But again, you just need to be aware of both at all times, or as much as you can, especially if the game clock is not on included with the shot clock on top of behind, mounted on the backboard.
And another little small note, you don't see it in this video, but this is something also to notice. Shot clock also had 1/10 of a second on it. This particular one. It's the only one I saw all year, and the only one I've seen in high school that had 1/10 of a second. So that's another thing you need to be aware of before game time starts. It can be a little tool to help you get certain plays right.
Hey Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
was this two man? Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Was it 2-man? No, it was 3.
Okay, no, I was just wondering because I could only see two people on your crew. I was confused for a second.
Yeah, the
No,
lead is real
he's
wide,
wide.
super
Oh,
wide.
okay.
Okay. Any questions? Please ask questions, people. If you got questions, even if you think you you need to ask a question. I would rather you ask it now than to get out on the floor and say, oh, I should ask that question when I had a chance. Ask it now. Okay. No questions too silly, no questions too, whatever. Just ask the question if you got questions. All right. All right. Here's another play. Mute this so that we can just watch it. Okay. This one has the game clock and the shot clock on top of each other. Okay, you see 21 seconds on the shot clock counting down. Reset the shot clock. Why? Because it's a live ball turnover. You have a steal. Okay. Okay, so again, same situation, live ball turnover, 35-second reset.
And again, we might not do it immediate if they don't reset it, but this is a situation where we may have to reset it depending on what she does with that ball. And she has defenders in front of her, so she may not quickly go to the basket. As a matter of fact, I don't think they go quickly to the basket, believe it or not. They pull it out. So that's why your knowledge and awareness matters.
I'm sorry, hold on. I wanted to make a point here. Let me just jump forward to the video. So when we see that right there, once we see that that player has possession, and again, remember I was saying earlier about looking at the shot clock. Okay. Once we know that player has possession, we got to try to get a peek at that shot clock to know if it reset or not. Okay. And like Jeff said, if it's a breakaway, the player has a chance to score and the shot clock operator is a little late, you may not want to stop the game right then and there because obviously you're stopping the team from scoring. Okay. But we want to be aware. Okay. You got to be aware. Now I'll say this. Especially some of these girls' games and some of these lower level games, and it'll happen on some boys' games too. You're going to have a lot of turnovers. You're going to have a lot of hell balls. Okay. Again, you got to pay attention to that shot clock to know how much time was on it. Did it reset? If it didn't reset, what should it be reset to? And when should it be reset? Okay. So these are things we have to pay attention to because, again, we are responsible for knowing that.
Will there be shot clock for lower level games, or is it select games?
I'll cover that, but just so you know, for lower level games, it's up to the conferences to decide if they want to use shot clock. Some conferences have been using shot clock already with all levels in their conference. Some will only use it for varsity. The IHSA approved it for all boys and girls varsity for the 26-27 season, but those conferences can decide, or school versus school can decide if they want to use shot clock if they're both in agreement. If they're not in agreement, or if the conference doesn't agree to it, then it's just varsity only. All right, but that's another thing you need to have a discussion with your assigner with before you go to these games so you'll know what you're dealing with. All right, here we have a backcourt defensive foul. White fouls black in the backcourt. Okay, still taking the ball out to 28. The fourth spots still stay the same. That the rule didn't change with the four spots. When we take the ball out of bounds, that's still all the same. Okay, now we have a new 10-second count. Okay, it's just as if when a team called a timeout in the backcourt and they come out after the timeout and they get a new 10-second count, same rule applies with shot clock. Okay, now here's what you need to remember. Okay, the shot clock is at 35. It counts down. Okay, we get a foul. Let's say it's about 33 maybe, somewhere in there. Okay, now we know it's at 33, hypothetically speaking. Let's say it's 30, it's 30, but they reset it to 35. Okay, now question is, somebody tell me, should they have left it at 30, 35, or should it be at 33?
Left it at 33.
Why?
Because it was foul. I want to say foul in the back, all the way in the backcourt. That's all I got for you, Coop.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, it should reset to 35 because it's a foul in the backcourt. If it's a foul in the front court, then it stays at where it is if it's above 20.
Correct. Okay. So they get a new 10-second count though. All right.
Okay.
So keep that in mind.
So if it's a foul in the backcourt Do 10-second count all the time. Got it on shot clock.
Defensive foul in the backcourt.
Right, right.
Okay. Again, this is why I say you gotta know rules. Okay, you gotta know it because now
Let me say this. It's not just fouls, guys.
that's true too.
Could be anything that stops the play. New 10-second count.
Yep.
Just like a regular game. We're not going that rule has not changed. We're always going to have a 10-second count that is going to be brand new based off of whatever the stoppage that we have.
All right. Now, what may be a little confusing for some coaches, or I won't even say confusing, but you may have some coaches that may try to challenge the official's knowledge and say, well, wait a minute. You had a backcourt count of 3. You had to count of 3 seconds. They only got 7 seconds to get across the court now. No, coach. They get a full 10 seconds. No, that's not right. That's not right. Now you got to try to de-escalate these coaches that act like that. Okay. And it's going to happen somewhere in Illinois. I promise you, it's going to happen. That's why you need to know the rules and be able to explain the rules. Again, you don't have to give no long explanation. You just want to keep it short and sweet. No, coach, 35, they get a new 35-second clock. They get a new 10-second count to get the ball across the division line. Put the ball in play and keep it moving. Short, sweet. You answered the question or the situation. You address the coach. The worst thing you don't want to do is not say anything to the coach. Because again, this is new rules that most people won't know. Most coaches won't know the rules. So again, we have to be the teachers on the floor. Again, make your answers short, sweet, and to the point if you have to explain anything. But you got to know the rules. Because guess what they're going to do? They're going to take that videotape and they're going to say, hey, Clarence got that rule wrong. He told me this and look what he did. So you got to know the rules and be able to apply the rules correctly. All right. Okay, all free throws, shot clock resets to 35. All right. Make sure that when this is something that's not in writing specifically, but we definitely want to address. So I'm assuming this person, the trail, just reported the fouls. Okay. And then they're saying, hey, we're shooting 2 shots while your partners are getting everybody lined up on the free throw line. With the trail's responsibility, as well as the center, as well as the lead, we want to make sure that after the new trail reports the foul, and let's say we're shooting 2 shots or 3 shots, we want to make sure that the shot clock resets to 35 at that point. Okay, before the free throw shooter gets the ball, but after the official reports to the table. Why is that important? Because we don't want them switching the shot clock too fast, because we may have a discrepancy or something that may need to get cleared up, and now we got to go back to figure out, well, how much time was on the shot clock at the point of interruption, okay, at the foul or whatever the case may be. Why is this? Because, you're going to get some coaches that's going to question this, that, and the other, and, they're going to throw our concentration off. So we want the shot clock operator to leave. So let's say this was a shooting foul, okay, and let's say if it stopped at, let's say, 20 seconds or 22 seconds or whatever. We want that 22 seconds to stay on the shot clock until after the official reports the foul. Then after they report the foul and how many free throws we're shooting, and we say we got the foul on white, 15, illegal use of hands, we're shooting 2 shots. When you turn around and tell your partners we're shooting 2, your partner should have those players lined up ready to go on the free throw line. All 3 officials or both officials, if it's a 2-person, should look at the shot clock before we administer the ball to the free throw shooter. Okay? Before. Yes, will the scorekeeper sometimes be a little fast with it or a little slow with it? That may be true, but the key thing is to make sure before that free throw shooter gets the ball, ask them to reset the shot clock to 35 if it's not already reset to 35. Okay? Because again, it helps keep down any possible confusions, any issues. That way we know what's going on and we have control of the game. And it's teaching the shot clock operator to slow down. Okay, slow down. Any questions on that? Okay, same thing if this is a technical foul. After we report the technical foul, same thing. Don't reset the shot clock until after we say, okay, we're shooting a technical foul. You look at your partners, give your partners the 2. We're shooting 2 for the technical. Okay, before the free throw shooter gets the ball, the lead should make sure that the shot clock is reset to 35. Okay, so basically any free throw situations, that's how we want to properly address those situations so that we have a smooth transition. All right. And I'll say this, not that this is important to us, but sometimes doing that is going to help the coaches and the teams when they're going back and doing video review. That's going to help them with their strategies too, because they'll know how much time is on the shot clock as well. All right. When they're running their various types of plays. All right, here we go here. We have a player, makes a three-point basket, turns around, and he taunts the opposing player. Have a technical foul. As we see, the center here gives the three-point goal. Then he also addresses the technical foul. Okay, again, he's going to report. We're not walking to the table, even though I know a lot of us do it. We're not supposed to walk to the table. Okay. Lining up the free throw shooter, same thing. After they report the free throws, we want to check and make sure the shot clock is at 35. As we see on here, the shot clock is at 35. Okay. Shot clock is at 35. Any questions so far? Nobody got a question about anything?
And 35 at the throw-in too.
Yes. That's the most important part. Okay. So even if, again, just giving you real life scenarios that may happen, after they call a technical foul, they shoot the free throws, the coach is going to get the barking at the official. Oh, it's not, no, that's this, that, and you guys are not calling a foul. And then they go and see, and then how many fouls does this person get? Now the coach is trying to talk to the scorer at the score table and just throwing everybody's attention off. That's why it's important. Before we put the ball in play, we got to make sure everything is in order. We got five black, 5 white players. Make sure that the coach is in every coach's box respectfully, making sure the table is ready, making sure your partners are ready, make sure the shot clock is ready at 35. These are things that we have to do. These are procedures that we must follow to make sure that we don't put ourselves in a situation where we may have to call a technical foul, delay a game, whatever we can do to control our end of the situation, if that makes sense. All right. Now let's talk about 20-second resets. Offensive rebound after a shot attempt that hits the rim, a new offensive possession in the front court, and defensive foul or kickball in the front court, and the shot clock is under 20 seconds. So if the shot clock is under 20 seconds, we have a defensive foul, kickball in the front court, we're going to reset it back up to 20. So let's say if the shot clock is at 16 seconds, we get a kickball, we're going to reset it to 20, okay, in the front court. All right, here's another play that we'll check out. Okay, shot comes in the corner, offensive rebound in the front court, we reset it to 20. Now, here's the thing. Let me go back for a second. The shot clock was at 29 when he got the rebound. If you see that right before you see the little wording on the screen, right now it's at 29 when he gets the rebound. But because we're in the front court, we're in Team A's front court or White's front court. Now the shot clock is going to automatically go down to 20. Okay, that's the reset because it's an offensive rebound. All right. Again, missed shot, White gets the rebound again. It resets to 20 again. This can happen multiple times. Okay, as long as they keep getting a rebound in their front court and there's still time remaining on the game clock, we're going to keep resetting to 20 if the ball hits the rim every single time and the offensive team gets the offensive rebound. Okay. So again, these are little things we need to pay attention to. Now,
and let me also emphasize this, guys. The rebound is not just because it hits the rim, they reset. They're supposed to wait until possession of the basketball.
correct.
And especially on an offensive rebound, this is key because with less time. So we don't want to have them get possession of the ball at like 18, 17, and then we're not giving them the full time. This is probably where it might matter that you know this and reset it quickly, unless it's an immediate putback. Because if they don't go directly to the basket on this one, or they hold it out, them 2 or 3 seconds matter. So make sure that you're aware of that. Now, I would say this: if you notice they do this, they're a little quick, and then they do go to the basket real quick. Make a mental note of that to yourself and maybe the crew, and then remind the table, hey, I need you to wait until there's possession. because there are going to be rebounds, and we've all had them, that take a couple seconds before they get the ball. Or there are a lot of shot clock operators will reset it when the ball hits the rim. And they might even reset it at 35 when the ball hits the rim, and they wait a couple seconds. We need to be on top of that to make sure, because if it is 35 seconds on a rebound and we've taken off 2 or 3 seconds, well, remember, we have a new 10-second count. So that's why it's really important to know what that shot clock is and to be aware of that situation to correct.
Yep. Great point. Also, let me say this too, and this is something we got to think about. And let me go to the end of this video real quick. We are table side. So the way this camera view is right here, we see the score table is right here. But let's go back towards the beginning of this play. We got the trail in sight of what the shot clock operator score table. They may not be able to see through us sometimes if we're in, let's say, in this position where Jeff is at on the floor. So they may not always see when the shot clock should be reset properly because they're trying to look around us. And because remember, they're sitting there stationary. We have the luxury of being able to move around. Okay. So sometimes we have to take that peek up there and know, okay, when should the shot clock reset? Or you may have to tell them, hey, reset, reset. Or you may have to give them some kind of signal, 20 or whatever, to get them to reset it because they may not see the possession. They may see the ball being tapped or touched. But again, it has to be the possession to reset it to 20, like Jeff stated. Okay. You see where Jeff is standing on that play? Again, sometimes those operators may not be able to see clearly. So again, we may have to assist them and kind of give them a little heads up and let them know, oh, okay, reset to 20 or whatever the case may be. All right. Here's another play. Okay, game clock starts on the tap of the jumper. But this time the ball goes out of bounds. Okay. The shot clock shouldn't start because no one's in possession. Okay, so you see if you look at the clock at the bottom, it's 3 seconds that came off the game clock. If you look up here at the top, the shot clock is still at 35. That is correct. Why? Because there was no possession after the tap. Okay, on the jump ball, there was no possession. So again, we don't want to start the shot clock until there's possession. Okay, so now that we're in the front court, okay, we're starting the game. We're starting here. The crew never changes the time. So how much time should be on the shot clock? Somebody tell me.
20.
20. Okay, why 20?
New possession in the front court.
New possession in the front court. Okay. Now, again, we're kind of slowing it down on video, but again, these things are going to happen a little faster in real time when you're on the game. So you need to know these things and be familiar with them. All right. One more time. Game clock starts on the tap. Ball goes out of bounds. Shot clock does not start. We need to check the game clock to make sure that some time came off the game clock. Okay. We figure out who gets the ball. In this case, Black gets the ball in their front court. Okay. We need to look. All three officials need to look to make sure the shot clock is proper. Even though the near official at this, you can see down here, okay, the near official is saying, hey, reset the shot clock to, or should have been saying reset the shot clock to 20, okay, because they're right there. But we need all officials to be aware of it. The trail should look up there and not put that ball in play until check with your partners, okay, see if they're ready. Okay, as you see, he's communicating with the table. So let me hold the ball up if I'm the trail. I'm not going to put the ball in play yet until he finishes explaining whatever he has to explain because I don't know what he's explaining, but I'm hoping that he's explaining to reset the shot clock to 20. Now, by the time he comes back and looks at me, if he gives me a thumbs up or, he turns around, finish talking to the table, I see the shot clock still is not at 30, it's still not at 20. I'm going to be the trail. And I'm going to say, hey, reset to 20, please. Reset to 20. Okay, I'm letting the table know. Because maybe my partner thought, or maybe the coach diverted his attention with conversation. He just didn't pick up that part. That's fine. If that happens, again, all three people, or if it's a two-person, both officials are responsible for knowing how to reset the shot clock and when to reset it. All right. Again, we're trying to give you real game situations so that you can be prepared on what to do. This is why I said these types of this video that we posted on their YouTube channel is the same presentation that we're going through now. You need to watch it multiple times. Get familiar with these situations. All right. Now here's another play. All right. White tries to get the rebound, loses possession, ball goes out of bounds. It's Black's ball. We had 33 seconds on the shot clock when the whistle was blown. Offense turns the ball over in their backcourt. Okay. White turned it over in their backcourt, so it's Black's ball in their front court. Shot clock must be at 20 seconds. Again, we have to take the moment, pause, look up there. Remember, the shot clock's on both ends. You don't necessarily have to look at the basket that you're standing directly in front of. If you're the lead, obviously you're under the basket, so you got to look at the opposite end shot clock to see how much time is on the shot clock. Okay, but again, these are things that we have to pay attention to so that we can make sure that we handle these situations the proper way.
Hey, Clarence, I got a question.
Go ahead.
All right, this is Marcus right here. So on this particular possession, it didn't look like White actually obtained possession of the ball. It looked like they were kind of fumbling around and it went out of bounds. So would the shot clock actually reset there?
Yes, because what does White do with the ball up after the shot? What happened?
So he went to save the ball and kind of passed it to his teammate. So I guess that is what they consider the possession.
So right here, he has possession of the ball because he threw the ball back inbound to try to save it. Anytime a player takes the ball to try to save the ball inbounds, typically, now I'm not going to say all the time, but typically in most cases, they have some type of possession enough to control the ball to try to put it to save it back inbounds. Okay, now I'm not saying all the time, but most times they usually have possession.
Let me ask this question. Does it matter?
Not in this particular play. Because Black retained possession due to White's turnover. So the shot clock is going to reset because now that Black has the ball, we're going to a 20-second shot clock, and because of Black's front court possession.
I would argue that it does matter in this play.
Go ahead, Miles. Why you say that?
Because if we don't deem White to have possession and it go, actually, no, I changed that because the out of bounds does change it. Never mind. It might not matter in this situation because it goes out of bounds. I'm thinking if White doesn't, at first I was thinking if White does not, if we don't deem White having possession, then it would be somewhat an offensive rebound. But if it goes out of bounds, then probably doesn't matter. It probably still resets.
Well, let me ask this. Does Black ever have possession after the ball hits the rim?
No. Oh, yeah, it would still matter then. Because it would go to 35 because Black, there was no change of possession. So yeah, I was overthinking it, but yeah, it would matter.
Now and you brought up a good point, Miles, because these are conversations that we need to have with our partners. Because this one particular play, which takes all of maybe a few seconds, like you said, depending on how the play turns out, let's just say it's turned out the way that you just brought up, then yeah, it does matter. It definitely would matter. You know what I'm saying? So these are conversations that we have to have to talk about various types of plays similar to this. And you got to ask yourself, okay, well, what if this is what happened to play, but what if that happened instead? What would be the rule? Like you have to ask yourself these questions because you're liable to see anything. Okay, you're liable to see anything on these games.
Well, right? The reason I'm bringing this up, guys, is because if Black never has possession of the ball, we wouldn't have a 20-second reset yet.
Correct.
So that's the reason why I'm saying that. So that's why I asked, does it matter? Because offense hasn't had possession of it yet. So in other words, this ain't a rebound and by the offense, and then it got knocked out of bounds. This is, if anything, a rebound by the defense, and then they turn the ball away. So the only thing it could be is 20. It can't be less than 20. So that's what I'm saying. And let me ask this question, because I think this is a big one. Is there ever a situation that we start with 35 in the front court?
Live ball turnover.
Just we start with a throw in for 35 in the front court. Is there ever a situation that can happen?
Maybe a dead ball technical, because that would be at point of interruption.
In the
Okay,
front
but
court.
Oh
but are we
no,
handling
sorry,
it?
sorry. No. I lied. Don't.
See, again, these are just some questions that you got to ask yourself because these things can happen. Okay, so even though we see what happens in this play here, sometimes you do have to, like Jeff just said, okay, well, what if this and what if that? You have to ask yourself the what ifs because the ruling may not always be the same result of the original play. It may be something different, or it may be the same, but you need to know so you can be prepared.
And I'm going to help you out here. There's never a situation in our rules that it should be 35 in the front court. It has to be less than 35 or less than 20.
Mm-hmm.
Has to or 20.
Or 20. Yeah.
It can never be 35. I cannot think of a single situation that we would be 35. Because
in the
even if
front
this
court.
was,
So even if you have a technical foul, after the technical foul shot, you cannot start that clock at 35 in the new front court.
Yes.
well, if we have a technical foul, we're
It'd be
not
at the
going
division
to.
line.
Right. We're going to put a division line. So that's not the same thing. But even then, that's the only situation that would be close. When I'm saying we're putting the ball in the front court, there's never a time that it should be 35. It's got to be lesser than 35 or 20 or lesser than 20.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be. It cannot be either. It can never be 35. So that's an absolute you can take with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you see 35 and we're going to put it on front court, you need to start asking some questions.
Right.
Because,
a whole lot of questions.
And those questions should be, we can't have 35. What was it before?
Mm-hmm.
We can't have 35 after a technical foul. The last technical foul shot inbounding the ball at the half court line in the front court.
Yes.
But that's not the front court.
That's not the front court, though. Remember the
So,
division.
so my question is, okay, hold on. Listen to the question before you start answering. If I'm inbounding that ball to A1, where's A1 inbounding that ball at in the front in at the half court line? Is he in the front court or in the back court?
They're at the division line.
So if he's at the division line, and so knowing what you know, every time you inbound that ball at the half, you say at the half court line, I put the kid in the front court. Do he get a no 35 based on where I put him?
He shouldn't be at the 28-foot line.
No, I didn't say at the 20-foot line. I did. That's not what I said.
You said the front court.
Well, let me say this.
I'm just listen. No. You didn't listen to my question before you
yeah,
asked.
Hold on.
Hold on. No, you hold on. You hold on. When I inbound that ball, the kid is in the front court. I'm at the half court line. I give him the ball. Is he considered to be in the front court?
Actually, by rule, it's considered to be neither, but that's another discussion. Anytime that we have a technical foul, the technical foul at the division line, when we're supposed to put it at the division line, not the 28-foot marks for every other situation, that is considered a 35 reset. Because the logic is we are not penalizing the team who was offended by the technical foul.
Throws, right.
Okay.
Right. But Tracy, that's a great point because you're right. Some officials will let this player stand at the 28-foot line and we're standing back here and we'll bounce the ball to him after a technical foul. And that's not where the player should be. So that falls back on the crew. Okay. So they're supposed to be, because the rule says we take the ball out at the division line.
At the division line.
That's so that player should be at the division line, and where Jeff is throwing the ball, giving the ball to the player, this is where we should be.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say this, guys: insist on him being at the division line. This is
Exactly.
another thing that a lot of officials don't do. He'll go someplace else, and we'll be okay with that. This is you're in control of the game. Put
Mm-hmm.
him at the division line, and I say that, and that's even without the shot clock. I don't care what game it is. Put
Mm-hmm.
him at the division line so no one can say that you put him at the wrong spot. I have seen many officials call a single technical foul or the last technical foul, and we're putting them 2 feet inside the division. I mean the division line, or we're putting them 2 feet back, or we're putting them someplace else. You might
Right.
think that this is not a big deal, but
Is
it's a big deal when somebody sees it on film and then
mm-hmm.
they start asking other questions about what you know or whether you following rules. So
Right.
insist on putting him in the division line. I do this every time, even at the quarter break. It's the same thing. 35 is going to start the quarter. We're going to put him at the division line. Don't put him anywhere else.
Right. Because sometimes the player might be standing here talking to his teammate. You see where the arrow, where I got the finger pointing at on the screen. You know, the player might be in here. And I've seen some officials where the player stood here at the division line and they move them in to the front court. And
Yep.
I'm asking them, what'd you do that for? Oh, because he's supposed to be in the front court. No, he's not. The rule doesn't say that they go to the front court after technical foul. It says the division line. Okay, or the beginning of a quarter or overtime. You know, not overtime, but the beginning of a quarter, second, third, or fourth quarter. It's the division line. That's what we administer the ball, not in the front court.
And Eric Lewis talks about habits. This is a habit.
It's
Make
a
this a
habit.
habit. This
Yep.
shouldn't be something that you vary from, and don't. It's no different than I'm not going to put a kid on the end line in the middle of the lane.
Right.
Why? Bring them to one side or the other and put them clearly on the other side. And in most fouls now or violations is going to be the 3 foot away. But I guess an out of bounds can be technically right by the line. But I'm never going to put them in the middle of the lane.
Mm-hmm.
And this is
Never.
a habit, and I insist on it every time. And you are in control of the game; they're not. So
That is
insist
correct.
on it.
And that's something that we can control. And I don't care how loud the gym is or how quiet it is. You get that player's attention. And say, hey, I need you here on this spot. They're going to move to that spot once you tell them. Because sometimes they're talking to their teammate, they're trying to figure out what play they're going to run and all this other stuff. And they may not be looking at you. They might hear you, but they're not looking at you. But you want to get their attention to make sure that they're at that division line. Okay? Because that's what we're supposed to administer the play at. All right. So let me jump forward again. Did that one. We did that one. All right, here's another play. 20-second resets. Okay, they're moving the ball. Offensive set. Black has the ball. Mute this. Got a foul. 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Okay, in the front court. Okay. Official points to the spot out of bounds. Reports to the table. All right, we reset it to 20. Now we take it out at the 28-foot line. Okay. Now we take it out. Same thing. Okay. Be diligent. Tell the player where you need them to stand. Okay. There's obviously no markings here where we don't see it anyway based on the video. But again, that's where the coach's box should be. That line where the coach's box should be. That's where the kid should be standing at. The player should be standing. That's where they should be at. If you don't have lines, like say if you took it out over here and there's no lines here, just maybe a couple of feet above the 3-point line. That's where you want the kid to, so you have to eyeball these things and look at the court and know, what am I working with tonight? What markings on the floor? What markings aren't on the floor? Like, you need to know these things. These are important things. Okay.
Or look across the court and triangulate the
Right,
spot.
the bench.
That's what I do if
Right.
there's no marking. And you're not going to have markings in most situations ever on a high school court. If you have a marking on the other side of the court, it might be because they switched they switched sides at some point, maybe on the court, but most of them will not. So
if you look at the bottom of the screen where my mouse is, that's the coach's box. The marking is on the floor. So if, hypothetically speaking, this was on the opposite side, you want to be over here administering the throw in. You want to look as the official to see, okay, where's that marking at? and I want to try to get that player as evenly to that where that spot is as much as possible. I'm gonna give you a real simple thing. Most high school courts, most of them in Illinois at least anyway, have the volleyball lines, okay,
Yep.
and they have the basketball lines. Just put them right smack dab in the middle between the spike line and the top of the key, wherever that is. Just put them right in the middle on either side. Now you know you definitely within 28 feet. It may not be accurate exactly to the foot, but at least you know, hey, this player is not way down here. They're not way up here. They're within that 20. So just the spike, they call this the spike line and the top of the key. Put them in the middle. Just find the middle where the middle would be, where on either sideline, and put them there. Inbound the ball. You're good to go. Real simple. Don't have to make a mountain out of a molehill. All right. Any questions? All right. We have a defensive foul. 23 seconds on the clock. 59 seconds on the shot clock. All right. Just cut the music, the audio out. Okay.
Yeah.
We report it. Shot clock stays at 23. Why does it stay at 23? Somebody tell me why.
From the front court.
Front court. Who gets the ball out of bounds?
White.
White. Anytime we have a defensive foul in the front court, shot clock stays where it is. Okay. We administer the ball to the nearest throw-in spot. In this case, outside the lane line, where the 3-foot post-up mark would be. Okay, shot clock stays at 23. Again, we check the clock, make sure everything's good before we inbound the ball. Inbound the ball, we continue play.
I've never been to that school. Damn. I know.
All right, any questions?
So if it's a foul and the time is above 20 seconds, it stays where it is. But if it's under 20 seconds, then it resets to 20 seconds in the front court.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Another play. Defensive foul. Okay, 27 seconds on the shot clock. Again, this clock only has the shot clock. It doesn't have the game clock. Again, a second or two may run off. Okay, again, this is where if you're working 3-person crew, again, this is a great, being a great crew member is when you got your partners back. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, that the clock was still running. The shot clock was still running. Guess what? The trail may miss this call, but the center and the lead should pick that shot clock up right away. Okay, and make sure that the accurate time is on that shot clock. Because the trail is picking up the foul. Okay, they may not look at the shot clock. Not saying that they shouldn't. They should look at the shot clock by all means. All 3 should look at the shot clock. Or if it's a 2-person crew, both people should look at the shot clock. But if the trail misses that, you got the center and the lead should say, "Oh no, oh, before we put this ball in play, we had 3 extra seconds running off the clock. The clock is showing 23. Let's put 26 back on the clock." That's being a good crew member. Okay, helping your partners out, making sure you keep everything in order. Okay, and it lets your partner know, oh, good, my partner got my back. Okay, and that's what you want. All right, that's what you want. All right, so we administer the ball for the throw in at the 28-foot line. Oh, wait a minute. Look where he put the player at. Is that 28 feet? Here's the 28-foot line right here. He's a few inches above, a few feet above. Yeah, okay. He's probably using the volleyball line as a guide. Okay, that's probably more like about 32, 34 feet, but still. All right, but again, you want to try to get those players at the 28-foot line as much as possible. Be very intentional about these things. It don't seem like it's important to you, but when these coaches draw up certain types of plays, trust me, every foot that you have that player away from that 28-foot line, it makes a difference. Because the timing of the play, it throws it off. Okay, you may not think it does, but it can throw off their play.
Yeah, most high school courts have a coach's box,
Mm-hmm.
and if they don't, we got an issue anyway. So we need to put them at the right spot. If we're on table side, we have a 28-foot mark almost in every court. So put them there.
Mm-hmm.
At least have a foot over that mark somewhere.
Now, we're getting ready to put the ball in play with 26 seconds on the shot clock. Here's my question. What if this player throws this ball in the backcourt? Does Green get a new 10-second count? Marcus,
Yes.
are you sure?
Well, because they're in the front court. So if actually, yes. So they do get a do 10 count because they're throwing the ball into the backcourt and they still have to come across the division line.
Okay, that is the correct answer. He will get a new 10-second count if that happens. All right, in this case, he does go back there to receive the pass, get a new 10-second count. So at that point, his 10-second violation would be 16 because we has 26 on the shot clock. All right. Now, this play here is a college play, but this was because we couldn't find anything on the high school level, at least not yet, that resembles this play. But this is what happens if the ball gets wedged between the backboard and the rim. Okay, we know by rule, we go to alternating possession arrow. Okay, but again, ball gets wedged, or if it sits on top of the flange, same thing. Okay, we go to alternating possession arrow. Who gets the ball? Well, it depends on the arrow. The arrow is going to dictate who gets the ball. If the offense gets the ball, we use a 20-second reset in the front court. If the defense gets the ball, we use a 35-second reset. All right. So again, just take your time and process the plays. All right. All right. So no reset on the shot clock. These are situations where there's a no reset. Defense deflects the ball out of bounds. We have a held ball, timeout or injury, or an inadvertent whistle when offense is in control. And if the ball does not hit the rim on a shot or the offense where the offense controls the ball. Okay, there's no reset on any of those situations. All right, no reset. All right, here we have a play. We superimpose the shot clock. Ball goes out of bounds. 16 seconds left on the shot clock. Again, you notice what the lead does. He looks, checks with his partners. Okay, to see, okay, are we good over there? Are we good here? We're good. Okay, let's put the ball in play. We got 16 seconds left, and we administer the throw in. All right. So again, he does a great job. If you watch the lead's head on this play, he does a great job of checking with his partners. He's watching the players, but he still, before he puts that ball in play, he looks up at his partner across the way, opposite him, as well as the trail. So he looks at the lead and he looks at the trail, make sure, okay, everything's good. We're good. No subs. Everything's good. All 10 players are good. All right, let's go. Let's put the ball in play. All right, just that quick. Again, habits. Everything is about habits. All right, you have the ball deflected out of bounds here. All right, we have a subs come in the game. All right, 31 seconds is on the shot clock. Okay, it stays at 31. Why is the player not at the 28-foot line on this play? Can somebody explain that to me?
We're taking it out where the play was interrupted. So with White deflecting it out of bounds, we're taking it out where White knocked it out of bounds at.
Correct. Okay, because the ball was deflected out of bounds. Anywhere the ball goes out of bounds, we take it out at the spot where the ball nearest to where the ball went out of bounds. Okay, so that's important to remember.
Good job, Marcus.
That is the only time we do not go to the 4 throw-in spots. Okay.
I have a question. Does anybody have possession on this play by the defense?
Yeah, White had possession. They tried to save it and threw it in.
Okay. Why did he have possession?
Because he made a play to save the ball from going out of bounds. So we
Did he?
learned that from a previous play shown earlier.
We sure he had possession?
Yeah, looks like it.
Ball hits the line. Does he have possession there? Stop it.
No,
Does he have? Okay. So look what happens to the ball.
it's out of bounds.
Gadget is like, yeah, right there at the end. So yeah, okay. So yeah, so
So
no possession by White.
did he have possession?
No.
No,
Okay. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this, I'm doing this for a couple reasons. Let's just say for argument's sake, he has possession of this. Doesn't hit the line. He's saving it. What are we doing with the clock?
It'll be reset to
reset to 35.
No.
Who said set to 35?
Zach,
Why?
because it's a turnover, and we deem they have possession, and they throwing the ball, and it's technically catching the ball in the backcourt. So it should reset to 35.
Does anybody agree with them or disagree with them?
I disagree.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I disagree.
Okay, Tracy, I don't need you to answer. You the big time veteran. Let one of these young newbies answer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I'll play.
I apologize. No, Jeff, I wasn't trying to be funny or nothing like
No,
that.
I don't, dude.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm cool. I want them to answer.
Okay.
I want them to. I want to think their process.
Okay.
So it would reset to 20 because let's say he does have possession before he eventually goes out of bounds. Then that is a turnover where Black will get the ball in the front court.
Okay, but why? Why are we giving them 20?
Because it's a new possession in the front court for Black.
Okay. Now, where are we putting the ball in play if that happens?
At the 28.
28-foot mark? Anybody
Yes.
agree with that or disagree with
Oh,
that?
no. Yeah. No. Yeah, that's the 28. Yep.
I agree.
You agree that it's at the 28-foot mark? What kind of violation is this, guys?
out of bounds.
No. It should be at the spot.
Yeah,
It should be at the spot. It should be at the spot. It's a spot throw in. It should be at the spot because it's out of bounds.
Yeah. I'll overthink that. Yep, it is a spot. Sorry. My bad.
But the reason I'm asking this, guys, the correct answer is if this was a turnover, he stole it. Ball does not hit the line. He goes out of bounds. We are going to put the shot clock at 20 because we are giving the defense or the new offense a new possession. But this would also be just an out of bounds violation. So we're putting it at the spot where the violation took place. So in this case, it's clearly not the 28-foot mark. It's several feet. It's actually closer to the division line. So we're going to put him a couple feet inside the division line where we rule that being out of bounds. And I'll even add, because I don't want to go through a whole bunch of situations, but let's say he stole that ball and took a couple steps and stepped out of bounds in the front court. Where are we putting the clock at?
35.
35. It's just the difference is where are we doing the new throw-in? And the reason I'm also bringing this up, because this might also be a discussion, theoretically. Not just on the calling official that's standing there. It might be a discussion for the crew. Because if he had possession of that, and we're putting it at 31 and this, that, the other, I might have a conversation with my crew member to say, hey, did he have possession of that?
Because watch this. As you can see, it's a lot of what ifs here. But what if this was like 3 seconds left on the game clock? we got to get this play right before we administer this ball. Because somebody's coach on that sideline gonna go off. We want to make sure we get it right.
All right, because the closer to the end of the game is, that clock set at 20 or 35 might matter. Shot clock might be off depending on where we're at. Shot clock might be on depending on where we're at.
Right.
Because if it's under 35 seconds, that might matter where we're putting the shot clock.
Mm-hmm. Especially
so we have to know that, and I'm saying this, that has to be your thought process, and not just a thought process of the calling official who called the out of bounds. You need to be thinking that too, because if we have it at 31 seconds, it was supposed to be at 20. That's a big difference in that possession.
Mm-hmm. And it can change what the teams can do and what they can't do from a strategy standpoint. Okay, so
this is where this is going to get murky for us, because these are the kind of mistakes we don't want to have in regular season or postseason games, where we're the reason that they didn't have 10 more seconds or 15 more seconds. So that's why we got to think of this. This has to be part of our habit, to be like, we got to think like that. Wait, why was the clock? Why is it here? Like this, that, the other. Now, I don't think there's much discussion here, but I'm just saying there are plays that we're going to have a debate about whether he had possession of that ball. And if we have those discussions, I would rather have a 20-second conversation about that and get it right than have no conversation and we're completely wrong.
And let's look at this from a coach's standpoint for a second. Let's say, we are getting close to the end of the game, and Coach A is hollering because he wants the ball. He wants the full 35. Coach B, no, it should be 20. It should be 20. He didn't have possession. Now you got to diffuse the coaches. You got to have a conversation with them, because somebody got to explain what's going on. Because look what the play happened. It happened away from the benches. Like these are realistic things that can potentially happen in your game. So now we go back to, how do we communicate with coaches effectively so that we can explain what happened and what our adjudication is, and we can keep the game moving. So these are factors that we have to take into play. These are things that we have to be prepared for. So again, having the what if conversations are good conversations with you and your crew. Okay. Well, okay, yeah, we saw what happened, but what if this or what if that? How do we adjudicate it? Will it be the same, adjudication, or will we have a different adjudication? You need to have these discussions like we're having now. Okay.
Because I'd rather you have this discussion now and know what you're supposed to do when we get that on the floor. So when you have that discussion, you know exactly what you're doing.
Okay. Here we have a hell ball in the front court. Okay. We got 31 seconds on the shot clock. Who gets the ball? White or black? White gets the ball. How much time should be on the shot clock? Somebody tell me. Anybody?
One moment.
Shot clock stays.
Anybody disagree with that?
No.
Why don't you disagree with that, Zach? Why do you
Because because it happened in the front court.
And what's the rule?
The rule is, if it's a hell ball in the front court, then it has to stay. The shot clock stays if it's above 20.
Well, it's at 31. So it should, if it's not above, you said if it's above 20, it stays.
Yeah, it stays. Yeah, that's what they say.
Okay. Well, what if black got the ball?
Then it resets.
Resets to what?
35. Resets 35, new possession.
Yeah, don't just say reset. You got to say which time, because it can
My
reset.
bad. You're right. Resets at 35, new possession. And they inbound, I want to say, at the 28-foot mark on the back court.
You sure? Let's look at the play again. If it went to black, if black got the arrow on this play, we know white got it, but let's assume black got it.
Oh, no. It'll be baseline. because
Okay,
it's down low.
inline
Inline. My bad. Inline. It'll be inline.
with a 35-second reset.
Right.
Okay,
35
Zach,
seconds.
and this is for Zach. No, it could be for anybody. But Zach, you made a comment. You said a held ball in the front court. What if the held ball's in the back court?
L balls in the backcourt, then I want to say it stays in new. If it's still white possession, then shot clock stays at 31 new 10-second count, and they have to inbound if it's under the free throw. I mean inside the 3-point line, baseline. If it's above 3-point line, the 28-foot mark.
Okay. Something else you said. You said it stays if it's above 20. So what if there was 5 seconds on the clock and there's a held ball?
Resets to 20.
Does
In the
anybody
backcourt.
disagree with that?
Wait, Zach, you saying if it's recessed to 20 in the backcourt?
No, in the front court.
Okay, but what if he's saying his question was, what if it's in the backcourt?
Off is in the backcourt.
Well, I said if it was 5 seconds on the clock and we have a held ball, and let me make it clear, offense keeps the ball. What are we resetting to, or what are we not resetting to?
I want to say we do reset to 20.
Marcus, help us out. Help Zach out. You and Marcus on the crew.
Yeah. Shot clock doesn't change on a held ball.
Anybody
doesn't-
disagree with that? Anybody agree with it?
Score one for Marcus.
Come on now, we got to make a decision right now. We're on the crew. We got to make a decision. So what are we doing with the shot clock? If
Miles,
it's
Miles,
5
help us
seconds
out.
on the shot.
Miles, help us out.
I agree with Marcus on a hell ball, with no change of possession, regardless front court or back court. It does not change. The shot clock remains where it's at.
That's y'all's final answer?
Yes.
Okay. Held ball never changes with the team retaining possession. It only changes if we, depending on where the new offense has the ball. Backcourt 35, front court 20. But if the offense retains possession on a held ball and we had nothing else happen but the held ball, it stays exactly where it's at. 32 seconds, 25 seconds, 5 seconds, 1 second. It stays where it's at. And this is where clock operators get antsy. Because they see it and they be like, boom, switch. So you got to know it when you call it. This is why that's another habit. You got to, when that whistle blows, we got to look at the clock.
All the time.
Because this is exactly where they will immediately, boom. I'm going to say this, and this is also another thing just to think about. Anytime I see a clock at 20, I want to know why it's at 20.
Mm-hmm.
It might seem silly, but I want to know why it's at 20. Is it at 20 because they reset it to 20? Or is it 20 because because it was already at 20? Because sometimes that happens. So we want to make sure. Let's talk about the next play, unless there's any questions about that.
I don't have a question. I just want to add something really quick. I don't know if Cooper already talked about it, but prior to your game, you want to ask the shot clock operator if there is a recall button. Because in the case where they reset it and they're not supposed to, and you don't have definite knowledge, that recall button can help you because it will go back to wherever it was prior to the incidental reset.
That is correct. Most of the clocks probably won't have it.
No.
In high school, I'd be shocked to see even the ones who getting shot clocks installed. I'd be surprised to see the ones that actually have it. But like I said, even if they do get it, it'll be very few schools, I feel personally, in Illinois that'll have recall. So, which in one aspect is a good thing because that's going to force us as officials to keep looking at the clock continuously throughout the game, to get familiar with knowing how much time is on the clock. So if we do have to reset it, we'll know, what to reset it to. But it also, like you said, it'll help us because it'll go to the accurate time of when the shot clock was incidentally reset.
And
Okay.
let me say this: recall is a tool; it is not the default.
Right.
Now, what I mean by that is, if they reset it, we still might have to change time on that clock.
That is true.
Because just because we reset it, they might have reset it 10 seconds ago. So
Mm.
you got to know how many seconds went off the clock before when there was an inadvertent reset. So you might have to put it where, or you might have to decide there's a violation.
Because now here's the other thing we got to keep in mind. If there's a discrepancy on a play, we still have to adjudicate the play in the sequence that it happens. If there's a foul before a travel or whatever, and you got to figure out how much time is on the clock, you still got to process that play in the order or the sequence that it happens, or the order that it happens. That doesn't change with the shot clock. Okay, same rule still apply in regards to that. Okay. So in this particular play, we have no possession. Now, again, this is another play where shot clock operators get a little antsy because they see a bunch of hands moving around, tapping the ball here or there. Remember, the reset only happens on possession. Okay. The reset of a shot clock is once the ball is live is going to happen when a team gets possession, be it offense or defense. It's going to dictate if it's 20 or if it's 35. Okay. But in this play, the ball was deflected by the defender. Balls kind of batted around or tapped around. Nobody gained control. Tap, tap, tap. No possession, no possession, no possession, no possession. Again, as a crew, somebody's got to pay attention to that shot clock to see did they reset it or not. Okay, and if you saw here, the trail took a quick look at this. Is this John? Jeff at the
Is this
trail?
who?
John.
John? No.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you that now. No.
All right. So if you look here, if you watch the trail official, since he's the closest to us, we can see it real clear. Okay. Here, he took oh, shoot. I keep hitting the button. Hold on. Okay. Here, if you watch his head, watch the trail's head. Once he realizes they got the ball, he took a quick look at the clock to make sure that the reset was accurate. Okay. All officials need to do that. Take that quick look up there, make sure that the clock is reset, or if it shouldn't reset, make sure it's not reset, whatever the case may be. Again, you got to have that rubber band neck the whole game. You got to be back and forth, looking at the clock, looking at the players, looking at the clock, looking at the players, looking at the clock, looking at the players. Okay, that's going to happen the whole game. Okay, your eyes have to constantly be moving. All right, here we got black with the ball, or I think that's black. All right, try to get to the basket. Ball's out of bounds. We have 9 seconds on the shot clock remaining. The ball did not hit the rim. Okay. Did not hit the rim. They reset to 20. Okay. It should not be reset to 20. It should be 9 seconds on the clock. Ball's thrown in at the backcourt. Okay. Obviously, they can't have a 10-second violation because that should be only 9 seconds on the clock. But they do have 9 seconds to score. In this case, it should be 4 seconds left had they properly reset the clock. So this is a common mistake that we may see where the shot clock operator resets the shot clock, but the crew doesn't pick up that the shot clock was reset incorrectly. We have to catch these things to prevent those mistakes from happening. Okay.
And that's why I said we have to know why it's at 20. What happened? Now, it's possible it could be reset properly. Maybe it hit the rim. Maybe you were officiating something else. But we might want to ask ourselves, at least internally, wait a minute, why is it at 20? Did we just have an out of bounds violation? And maybe you go to one of the officials, did they shoot that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and trust me, we all been there, kind of like, oh my God, what just happened? because we might be looking at something else. Theoretically, it's understandable we're looking at something else. But if it's at 20, we should kind of have recognition that the shot clock's under 20. Like at this point, somebody should have recognition of that, because if you have recognition of it, now if it goes to 20, well, wait a minute, why is it set at 20? We didn't have a shot, did we? Clarence, we didn't have a shot, did we? Like, just ask the question. You'd be surprised. You might save yourself.
Or let's go back to the play for a second. When he drives down the lane, he is trying to get to the basket to shoot. Okay, right there, he was trying to get to shoot the ball, but the shot didn't hit the rim. So yeah, he tried to shoot it, but the ball never hit the rim. So what? Again, why is the shot clock at 20? That's a natural question that each official should be asking themselves before we inbound that ball. Okay, and if you have to have a quick discussion or whatever the case may be, you adjudicate it and you put the ball in play and go from there. But a question should hit your head. Oh, wait, what's going on here? He tried to shoot it. He tried to get to the lane and make a shot attempt, but he never shot the ball and the ball never hit the rim. So now here's a perfect time where, guess what? Let's watch the heads of the officials. Did anybody take a look at the shot clock? The trail is going where? He getting ready to go on vacation. Because he's thinking, oh, the ball's going down. We're going the long way. He ready to take a walk. The center never looks up at the clock. The trail uses improper mechanics. I mean, the lead uses improper mechanics. He uses women's college and NBA mechanics, because men's college and high school, we're to raise our hand and stop the clock first and then point. He should never turn his back to the players. Again, habits. I keep saying your habits are going to show. Your habits are going to show on tape. They're going to show. Okay, this is a habit. He does this all the time. I guarantee you. Okay, now nobody on the crew, 6 eyes, not one of the 6 eyes looked at the shot clock. Okay, now it looks like the trail kind of looks up there at this point. Okay, maybe the center might be taking a peek as he's moving down or whatever. Let's say hypothetically speaking, they did see it. Why would they still let the clock get reset to 20? Look at the trail. He's pointing, saying, oh, he's walking backwards, but he's pointing. I don't know what he's pointing for. What I don't understand what the trail would be pointing and walking backwards for.
Because all 10 players are inside the 3-point line.
Yeah. So watch this.
Why are we at the division line?
Why are we at the division line as a trail? Again, your habits are going to show. And guess what? He's not the only official that does this throughout the country. I call this the AAU mechanic. This is the vacation. I call this the vacation position. You're at the vacation position. You're not even in the game. You're on vacation. You don't want no parts of this action right here at the trail because you're worried about the other end of the court. You're trying to beat the players down on the other end, and the ball's out of bounds under the basket. Then we'll look at the center. He's down here somewhere. Or why, I don't know. Bad habits. Oh, okay, guys. Oh, yeah. Oh, we staying here. Okay, my fault. Let's go back to our positions now. Just process the play. Just process the play. You know, my thing is you don't want to be one of these people on tape doing it wrong. Okay, you want to be on tape doing it right. Yeah, you're human. You make mistakes. We all do. But you know, if somebody's going to clip your games, you want to be seen doing it right. All right. Any questions? All right. Let's look at this here. White has the ball. 29 seconds. Call a timeout. All right. Somebody tell me what what's the proper mechanic for calling a timeout? How should we call it? What's the sequence?
Stop the clock. No, hand, palm up, stop the clock, and then confirm with the coach if it's going to be a full or 30, full, extend the arms out. If it's 30, we curl the arms in on top of the shoulders.
Okay. When do we report to the table?
Once all the players have cleared the court and in their respective benches area.
Did that happen in this video?
No, the players are still on the court.
Well, they can be on the court, but they're not.
Well,
they're not.
Yeah, but they're not in the area.
Right. They're not. He never took the time to make sure all the players were in their bench area or with their team. Okay, that's important.
Let me say this too: it's not just the players on the court. We need to all observe these players crossing.
Correct. That was the next thing I was about to get to.
Yeah, because anything could have happened. Got a little elbow on the way to. So yeah.
And watch this. Even when we think we've been having a smooth game, don't think that they may not say something, bump into each other either intentionally or unintentionally. Those things can be triggers to get their emotions going, especially let's say if this is a rivalry game. Game might be going great, no problems, no issues, nothing. Then that timeout happened, they cross paths. Somebody may say, man, you weak as hell. We may not hear it. Gym may be packed, music may be playing. But that could be a trigger that could cause us problems later on in the game. Okay. So we want to observe those things.
Let me ask this. What are we communicating with each other?
I didn't see none.
That's the whole point.
I didn't see any communication.
Your habits are going to show either good or bad. They're going to show on film.
But no, what I'm asking is, what are we communicating when we call this timeout?
Oh, so we're going to communicate where we're taking the ball out. Well, which team called the timeout, what timeout they're calling, where the spot at the ball that where the throw in is going to take place, and whose possession it is.
Okay.
Anything else? What are the things we need to communicate? Is that it?
I mean, yeah, I can't think of anything else right now.
Come on. It's one more thing.
There's a couple things, actually.
Come on. Take your time. Come on, take your time. Marcus, name the 4 things that you already mentioned that you forgot one. You named 4 things. Name one more. That'll be the gravy of it.
Okay, so
actually, there's 2 more.
Oh, okay.
In my opinion.
I thought I heard. Okay, go ahead, Marcus.
Okay.
Just name off what you have already.
So we have the indicated the timeout, indicated the spot of the throw in, and then we got so indicated the possessing team.
That's 3.
What is this presentation about?
Shot clock. So
Exactly.
So yeah,
I
making
was
sure
waiting
that
on you, Marcus.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, making sure the
I
shot
set
clock
it up
is
for you.
Yeah.
And then I think there's one more.
Yeah, it is.
There's really one more that has to be thought about.
Yes, majorly.
It ain't exactly what we're talking about, but what are we talking about here?
All right, give me a hint. Clock related, or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because what if 3 or 4 seconds ran off the clock?
Yep.
Oh yeah, game clock. So so at the time of stoppage, we need to identify the time on the game clock and the time on the shot clock.
Absolutely. Because let me also give another little element to this. I'm on this game, as you can see. I'm on this game, we talked about something else. Something else was the issue in this game. And it's not relevant to this situation, but what often happens during timeout? Sometimes we discuss things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to communicate before probably we discuss anything. Hey guys, it's 28 on the shot clock. It's 3:59 on the game clock. Like, let's make sure does the clock run? Did they stop it? But maybe ask those questions, and then maybe we get to what we're talking about. Because what we actually, if I would have shown this whole video, we actually huddle and talk about something else. And the reason I'm saying you mentioned the shot clock and the game clock, shot clock operators are going to reset shot clocks a lot of times in these situations. They're going to say, oh, it's 20, it's in the front court. Is it? So we got to know that so that if they do reset it, wait, it was 28 on the shot clock.
All right.
So we got to have that conversation, and then we can't take it for granted. This is part of your habit too. Now, when we get in that timeout, we should discuss some things. I don't want to get too belabored into that because of what we're doing, but we're going to talk about foul situation. I'm going to talk about one of the teams are in bonus, and I think White's in Black's in bonus. So next foul for Black or White, Black is going to be shooting. We got so many timeouts left. It's third quarter. Maybe this is the first timeout that was called. But I'm going to discuss these other things because we want to have a conversation. Now, the reality is we were talking about why my partner had to address a player on the bench, and I wanted to know what happened. So that was also, but my point is we could get distracted by that and forget about all the other stuff that's important that's going on in the game.
Okay.
And especially the later in the game it is, the more that other stuff matters. It may not matter right now how many timeouts, because we may have, 3-4 timeouts left. The clock is not the end all be all, but we still need to know that 3 or 4 seconds didn't run off the clock. But the shot clock matters. We got to know the shot clock, because if he resets it, then we got to know where to put it back at. And that's not just the calling official, that's everybody else. Because if you notice, the other 2 officials don't really have much to do but watch the players cross. So you need to recognize that too, because he's worried about calling the timeout because he had the coach call timeout. All those things have to be those are things that you got to make a habit in your game.
Now, let me add a what if here. And Jeff kind of just mentioned it, but I'm going to kind of give a scenario. What if the shot clock was still running? Let's say it stopped at 24. How should we handle that?
Us got a problem.
Because this will happen. I promise you it's going to happen.
It is.
It's going to happen. Take somebody on that clock operator, game clock or shot clock, gonna have a mental breakdown for a split second. Clock's still gonna be running. Coach called a timeout. They saw the clock was at 28 on the timeout, but after you report the foul, you look up, it's saying 24. How do we adjudicate this? What do we do?
So as a crew come together, hey, did anyone catch that time when the whistle blew? And kind of come together, make a collective decision and say if we're gonna put some more time on the clock or not.
Okay, so let's say it's supposed to be at 28, but we realize it's at 24. We said we put some time on the clock. So how much time are we gonna put on the clock?
28.
28. Anything else we need to do in this scenario with the timeout?
Make sure that just ensure that the game clock times match up too. So as we're looking at the shot clock, matching up the game clock time as well.
Okay, there's something you're missing though. Something else you're missing. That can be very important. That is very important if that happens. Miles, you want to jump in? Zach, you want to jump in? Scenario is the shot clock was supposed to stop at 28 during the timeout. Unfortunately, shot clock stops at
You have to
26.
also alert both head coaches and let them know the situation of why we putting more time on the shot clock.
Thank you. Gotta let them know. Because guess what? They might be designing their play with 28 seconds on the shot clock. But then all of a sudden, we realize it's 24. Maybe the assistant coach may say, whoa, 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 hey, ref, whoa, you called the timeout at 28. It's 24 on the shot clock. We have to make sure that we have definite knowledge. If we do, we put it to 28 and we notify both coaches. Now, here's the $1,000,000 question. When do we notify both coaches?
As soon as we make the determination that we're adding the time to the clock.
That's your final answer?
Before play starts. before we give the player the ball for initiation for the win.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right. Miles, when do we let the coaches know in a situation like this during a timeout if the time needs to be corrected?
As soon as we have definite knowledge.
That's your final answer?
Yes.
Zach, when do we let the coaches know?
As soon as we have definite knowledge that the shot clock should be at 28, we let both coaches know immediately.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
That is correct. As soon as we have definite knowledge, let those coaches know. Why? Because we do not want them to come out after the timeout and realize, oh, it's 28 on the clock, or it's 18, or whatever the time should be on there. It doesn't matter. I'm just using that as an example, but we want to let them know as soon as possible. Okay. Again, are we required to let them know? Is the next question. Don't get quiet on me now, guys. Come on. Are we required to let them know?
I want to say yes because you don't want anything to escalate. You don't want tempers to flare. Anything. They're drawing their plays up on the situation, on the game time situation. So I would say it does matter.
Well, we know it all matters. My question is, are we required to let them know?
Yes, I'm saying we are required to let them know. Yes,
Okay.
we are. We should be
Mark,
required to let them know.
that's your final answer, Zach?
Yes, that's my final answer. We should be required to let them know.
Marcus, what do you say? Give me your
Yeah.
final answer.
Yes, final answer. We should be informing the coaches of any time management with the clocks, whether we're taking time away or putting time on there. We need to inform the coaches of such.
Okay, Miles, what you got?
I have no different answer.
No answer?
No, I agree with the prior answers. That's what I meant to say.
All right. Miss Wanda Norris, I know you're on the call. Come on, chime in, talk to us. Share your expertise with us. Wanda, you on here?
Let's go, State Farm official.
She probably watching the game. Tracy, are we required to let the coaches know if there was a discrepancy on the clock, game clock or shot clock during the timeout? Are we required to let them know?
You're required, and plus it's a professional courtesy to let them know that what you've done to the clock, so they can have some kind of idea what they're going to do for their next move. Yes, you should.
Correct. We must let them know. Because again, this is all part of. Now, remember how before the shot clock rules came into place, and Zach and Miles, you guys know we preach this all the time. Game management, game management, game management, game management. That is a part of our game management to communicate the information when it needs to be communicated. Okay, again, like you said, it's a professional courtesy, but it's also part of our game management. Okay, now, hypothetically speaking, let's say we didn't communicate the proper time and we put the ball back in play and the coach freaks out and no, it should be 28 on the clock. Why are you putting 24? Da, 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 da. How are we going to adjudicate that? How are we going to handle it? How are we going to deal with that irate coach? Again, this is going to happen in somebody's game. I promise you. They're not going to pay attention to that clock. Extra time going to run up that clock. Coach is going to design a play for a different amount of time. Come out of that timeout. One of them coaches are going to go live it. Especially if it's close towards the end of the ball game and we got a close score. We're going to have problems. I promise you, we're going to have some problems, and we got to know how to adjudicate those things, and we got to know how to communicate to those coaches. So somebody tell me if that did happen in that scenario, how would we handle it? Miles, how would you handle that?
Repeat the scenario one more time. Sorry.
So again, let's assume the opposite of what the question was. Remember, I asked you, are we required to let them know? Let's assume that we did not let them know. And let's assume that, okay, based on this play, the clock was supposed to stop at 28, but let's assume it's at 24. Coach designs a play for, let's say, 28 because they saw it at 28, but we didn't let them know. They come out of that huddle and the clock is showing 24, and the coach goes livid. How do we deal with that?
So
How would you
coach
address the
goes,
coach?
is the ball in play or?
Well, it's still out of bounds, just like now.
Okay.
Still going to be a throw in, but instead of it being at 28, the shot clock we didn't see it as a crew that it
Right.
stopped at 28, and the shot clock operator stopped it at 24. But the coach feels like it should be at 28.
Okay.
But the crew didn't see it, and it's at 24. How do we adjudicate that? How do we what should we say, or how should we communicate to that coach in a scenario like that?
Okay. So he thought that it stopped at 28, but it really stopped at 24.
It mistakenly was stopped at 20,
Mistakenly stopped at 24.
but we missed it as a
Right.
crew.
Hey, coach. I understand that you thought it stopped at 28, but me and my partners talked, and we do not have definite knowledge that it stopped at 28. So therefore, we are going with what is on the clock, 24.
Final answer, final response. Anything else you think you may have forgotten to say, or you should have taken out, or anything? Or something maybe you should have added. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I guess I could say, well, I guess in this situation, me and my partners probably did not talk. Um, because none of us looked at the clock. So in that case, I would go with instead of saying that we did talk and that we don't have definite knowledge, um, probably would say, Coach, when the timeout was called, the shot clock was at 24.
Okay. Marcus, how would you address it, this situation?
I acknowledge the coaches. Bringing it to my attention. Thank them for that. Like, hey, coach, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll talk with our partners. We'll talk with the table to confirm and see if we have definitive information or definitive that we can definitively identify that the shot clock was at such time. And if we all can concur and agree that the clock was at 24, then that's what we're going to go with.
Okay, what if the coach is adamant and saying, no, that's not right. Not right. Like, you guys getting this wrong. Like, you guys got to do something about this. This is not fair. What's your response?
Again, it'd be more to just kind of double down on it to say, hey, coach, together as a crew, like this is what we have. This is what we confirm that, hey, this was the clock. Like we can't change it off any guesses. So we're gonna go with the 24. Like,
Well, let me ask this question. We keep hearing the stuff about we all agree. Do we all have to agree?
no, we don't.
Why not?
We all don't have to agree. It's more so if anyone has a call, or if we can go with we can take the really anyone's perspective. We don't necessarily have to take the crew chief perspective or their final say. If we feel confident in what we see or what we calling, then we're gonna go with that. It's just for me personally, I think it comes off as a better message to the coach to say, "Oh, it just wasn't me by myself solely making the decision. We did kind of had a we did come together to come to this conclusion. So it just seems better to say like, hey, we had all three of us together working on this, and this is what we came up with because six eyes is better than two."
Okay, let me ask you this. What if the coach just says, you know what, you guys are just horrible. You guys are fucking horrible.
Okay, so now the first one, if he just said you're horrible, like okay, thank you, coach. Okay, like back to your bench. But if he says you're fucking horrible, yeah, I'm gonna have to tee you up for that.
You sure?
Yes. Verbal abuse of a referee. It's like it's nowhere in the game where that's actually that kind of language is actually called for or directed towards a referee. So we have to take control of the game.
Okay. Miles, Zach, you got anything different?
Uh,
The three of you
First, I
already
would give the
agreed.
coach a verbal warning, and if he continues, then I would give him an official warning. Uh, a lot of coaches in the public league like to curse loosely. Um,
I just give them one warning, and then after the one warning, you want to keep going and cussing me out, calling all type of names out my name. I'm hitting you with a T. You can sit down for the rest of the game. That's just my thing.
Cussing. Coaches only in the public league curse?
Oh yeah, what?
well, yeah, not just in the public league, but
At every level.
specifically in the
Everywhere.
public league.
At
We
every
got we got a
level.
few coaches that
It's
like
I just,
everywhere.
I just, I just want y'all to be careful when you say things.
Right.
And I'm not saying this about who is listening, just it's in your mind too. Because public league coaches don't do a lot of stuff that different than suburban coaches. I want y'all to understand that.
That
They
is true.
curse in the deep northwest suburbs and will lose their minds over stuff. So I'm saying that because I don't want you to be like, well, the public league guys, they curse, so we'll let it go. And then the minute that somebody at the suburbs curse, we're like, well, we got to tee them up, or we got to, because they're not doing the same thing. Be careful when you
oh
use
no,
that
no,
language.
no.
Be
It's
very
gonna be
careful.
adjudicated the same way.
Because there are people you will say that to, you and we got I've said this before. You got to work different places to understand the culture of places. But the culture of places sometimes is not that different in some respects. And this is one thing that you can have a suburban of a coach, and or better yet, Catholic leagues coaches.
Yeah.
They got some of the worst. They got some of the worst mouths out of anybody.
Oh man, that they are so the worst.
Don't let the name Catholic fool you.
Right.
Man, D.
They
LaSalle,
will
all
they
three
will
levels be
They will
man.
MFU quicker than many coaches that I've had in the public league. Because at least they're at a public school. With Catholic school, they drink and curse.
And they repent later.
I
Right.
swear they do.
Right. So just be, and I'm just saying that for a mindset thing. I'm not saying that because there's some truth to what you're saying. Just want you to understand that there are coaches who do certain things. So don't go into games thinking, well, we're in the public league. I got to do something completely different. If cursing is unacceptable, address that as unacceptable no matter where you're at. That's my point.
And then I'll give you another tip of advice. Treat every call or every play so serious that if you had to explain it to your supervisor, if you got wrote up from it and the IHSA contacts you and you had to explain it to them that your play, how you adjudicated the play or the situation was justifiable according to the rules. Okay. Always treat every single play like that. I don't care what game you're on, if it's a scrimmage or if it's a whatever, it doesn't matter. Championship, state championship, whatever. Treat it the same way because what's going to happen is coaches remember you. They remember games. They watch games on film. They study. They're going to remember, oh, does Miles only call the technical fouls when the coaches in the public league curse at him? Or does he call technical fouls when anybody curses at him?
Huh?
And coaches talk to each other too.
Mm-hmm.
Public league to Catholic league to suburban league, they all friends to some extent. Sometimes they may not be friends, but they'll reach out to get information. Hey, you had Miles on your game. I saw he gave you a technical foul. What happened? Oh, because I got Miles next week. He's gonna be on my game next week. I want to see how he gonna do. Okay, so he did this to such and such in the suburban conference. Okay, I know what buttons to push Miles if I need to try to get a call. I know what to do. Or they just gonna try you just to see what you gonna do. If they know you or not. Don't let, and that's another thing. Just because you might be new, yeah, they might pick on you a little bit more because you're a new official, not necessarily intentionally, but they're just trying to see what you're going to allow and what you're not going to allow. But again, do you show good game management? Are you professional in what you're doing? If you had to explain your response or what you did or your adjudication on a particular play or just a game in general, can you justify it based on what the rule book is asking you to do? And or can you justify it based on what common sense is in that situation? Because sometimes it's not about the rules, sometimes it's about common sense. Okay, but again, you want to be able to justify your actions or your lack of actions if that's appropriate. And because maybe it was a situation where it didn't cause for a whistle or whatever it is. You want to be able to justify your response or either the lack of your response. Okay, so if you think about every game, every play like that, it's going to make you a better official. When you look at people like Wanda, Jeff, Tracy, Vern, Marvin, myself, a few other veteran officials who've been around, it's because we've earned those stripes because we've had those situations where sometimes we had to respond, with a technical foul. Sometimes it's like, okay, all right, I'm going to remember that. I may not get you now, but I might get you later. But it's about game management. Okay. Game management. All right.
Can I say something to that point?
Go ahead.
To your point, I had Christ the King at the Dome last week, and I had to talk the coach out of a technical foul because he felt like they were getting hit down here. They were playing Marshall, so they feel like it's a rivalry, this, that, and the third. It's like, oh, every time my guys go down there and go to the basket, they get fucking fouled. I'm like, Coach, listen, man, we can agree to disagree. At the end of the day, what I'm looking for is has that defender stopped their uh, speed, rhythm, or balance or quickness. And a lot of times where you're seeing contact, they have not done any of that. So that's why I have not put a whistle to it. But I will look for what you're saying. But at this moment, those are not fouls. I'm not interjecting myself into this game. He's like, you know what? You're right. I said, I know. So sometimes you have to talk coaches out of technical fouls too.
Well,
Well,
you know what I would have done in that situation, and this is just some experience. I wouldn't even address what he said about the fouls. What did you say he said?
He said those are fucking fouls.
Coach, don't cuss at me. I'm not gonna cuss at you. Please don't cuss at me. If I'm not teeing him,
Mm-hmm.
don't cuss at me, Coach. Come on now. We need to be more professional than that. Now, that depends on if everybody can hear what he said, or is he talking to me directly? Meaning, like nobody can hear, maybe but a couple people around. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to set a tone that we need to handle each other with some level of respect. And he might go into, well, we're here. I don't care. Don't cuss at me. I know I don't cuss at you. You wouldn't you call me out if I cuss at you, Coach.
write you up too.
And that's not and I'm not saying that to be a prude. I'm saying that because if I'm acting professional, why can't you act professional? And then I might not even address what he said because my walk away from that situation is I don't want him to cuss at me. And now he knows not only that game, he knows the next game. Jeff doesn't tolerate him cussing him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're talking high school too. You got to, where you at in the circumstances. But that might have been how I might have addressed that. But
Tracy, I'm sorry, Tracy, how would you address that situation?
Man, I don't want to hear that shit. You get your ass whooped. Let's go.
I ain't gonna lie to you though. I had a situation with Michelle Clark this year. Bill was at the game too, sitting at the scores table. I called the offensive foul, reported to the table. Michelle Clark, coach didn't like. He thought I did the wrong mechanics. I did the right mechanics. He said, yelled inside the whole gym, get your fucking shit together. Look, I literally looked at him dead in his face, teed him up, and then I ain't had no conversations after that. Then he wanted to keep yelling 15 years. I never got checked. Well, I said, got checked today, coach. And just walked away. Seen him, I want to say 2 weeks later. We talked about it, and he said, "Yeah, you right. I did deserve it for 15 years. I ain't got checked." I was like, "Coach, but you know what you said to me, and the whole gym heard you." He's like, "You right. You absolutely right." And like Phil even said at halftime, Phil said, "You did right for giving him that check. You did your thing." I was like, "Hey, I stood on business. I mean, I don't take disrespect like that. You asking me to get your shit together. Oh hell yeah, that you coming at my character, coach. I did it right. I don't know what to tell you. I did the proper. I told you I did the proper mechanics, and go in the rule books and you can see the proper mechanics. You want to keep cussing me out? Fine. T, let's go. You can sit down for the rest of enjoy this pond for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Well, the problem is this: some officials will let coaches curse them out and won't tech them.
Not at all.
Won't even think about it. Won't even give them a warning for that matter, let alone tech them. So when you hear coaches say, "I ain't never got a tech in all my years," well, one, he probably lying because he didn't. That particular coach you're talking about, I know he's gotten texts before from other officials, but that's a different conversation. All right, but my point is, we have to be consistent. If we are consistent, I guarantee you those coaches' behaviors are going to eventually change to some degree. Not a whole lot, but to some degree, it's going to change. Because at some point, they got to look in the mirror and keep saying, okay, why do I keep getting the text? What am I doing? What do I need to do differently so that I don't keep getting all of these texts? Now, some of them don't care, and they're going to get a text anyway. But that looks bad because now sports administration or whoever the powers that be are going to say, wait a minute, how come every single game or every other game, this coach keeps getting technical foul? What is he doing? Word gets around on the streets. Trust me. People pay attention to those things. So you want to be mindful of that. And again, you should not be disrespected. You are there to do your job. You should not allow disrespect. You should not put up with it. Address it. I don't care if it's a fan, player, coach, administrator, whoever. If it's disrespect, it's disrespect. You have to address it. Because if you don't, the word's going to get around that, oh, Zach just lets anything go. Oh, Miles just lets anything go. So I can get away with first degree murder with them because they're not going to call the tech on me. So you got to change your habits. You got to address those things as when needed.
And let me say this too. If you take care of business, they remember that too.
Hell yeah.
And they respect it.
They remember that too. So it's not just the situation. I tell this very quick story. I worked my very first game in the Chicago Catholic League at a school. I guess if this is being recorded, I won't say the school. But the school was with a player that ended up going to a certain school in the ACC when he was a junior. And I was working with two veterans, a signer, and then the guy who just worked the state finals. Was scared to death as a younger official because I was a really younger official at this time. And This coach started MFing me, calling me everything, and I didn't want to tech because our supervisor said, we don't want you to give technical files. This and the other. He was like, that's motherfucker, blah, 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 blah. So I said to him, the only thing I could think of, I said, Pat, don't curse at me. I'm not cursing at you. Don't curse at me. But Pat, don't curse at me. That's all I knew what to say because I didn't know how to tech him. I didn't know if and I'm not the official that I was then, had no playoff experience, all that kind of stuff. After that, I had that coach several times, and he never cursed at me, ever. He would always come to me respectfully. He would always come to me asking questions in a professional manner. I mean, and I'd ask him to be professional. I just said, don't curse at me. And he always was nice after that. And he was hard on officials. He was extremely hard on officials. He banned half the officials. It got to the point where the supervisor had to send guys he had banned because he had banned so many people. That's how he felt about officials. But when I would have him in non-conference games and stuff like that, he wouldn't curse at me. So you go set the tone. So these coaches know who they are. And I'll say this just from a personal note. I've had my run-ins with multiple coaches, for example, we talk in the public league, but every time I have them, I don't have problems with them because they know I don't play with them. I don't have to repeat what I said 10 games ago. I made it clear we're going to treat me with a certain amount of respect, and I'm going to treat you with a certain amount of respect. I'm not going to yell at you. Don't yell at me. It's a mutual thing. You treat me with respect. My mother used to tell me all the time, treat people how you want to be treated. That's how I officiate.
And another situation too, with I'm gonna piggyback on what Coop, Jeff, and Trace always be saying in these calls. Have your partner's back. I had a situation at Semiano senior night. He one of my partners called the call. Head coach didn't like it. Wanted to say something. Thought he said it on his breath, but said it loud enough. But I'm running down the court and I hear him. I turned around and I checked him because we and my partners had our talking at halftime. Don't let none of this go on. Don't let all this keep talking going on. None of that. All this talking is done for. Check him. It's getting disrespectful now. Check him. So I the one who initiate that, and I checked him. I followed through and checked him. Said, "You're not gonna say that about my partner. I heard what you said, coach. Go ahead and sit down. Like you're not gonna disrespect my partner like that." And he looked with a dumb look face, like, "Oh damn, you heard me." Like, "Yeah, I heard you. Sit down."
And don't let them say that I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to somebody else.
Yeah, no,
That
I heard
that
you say that about my
that
partner. I know you weren't talking to me.
that's BS too. Because if you got together with your partner and you said Coach A is a piece of crap, blah 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 blah, and they overheard you, they're not gonna say, "Well, wait a minute, your excuse can't be I was talking to my partners." So don't let that happen. The respect is mutual. We have to demand respect. If they don't give it to us, demand it. And if we demand it, trust me, it will help you in the long run. And sometimes the only thing that they understand is giving a technical foul. Trust me, I'm a guy who bends over backwards with coaches sometimes. I've probably been too far, but I also have a certain amount of understanding, and a lot of these coaches know me, so I can maybe say something. Coop can say something. Tracy can say something that y'all can't say because they know us. They know our boiling point. Or they know that, okay, I can't mess with him like that. But with you, they may not know that. So you got to demand a certain level of respect. But that doesn't mean that I don't run into gyms where coaches don't know who I am or don't have a clue what I've done. And trust me, I don't, other than my shirt, don't know that I work to Stay Final. As a matter of fact, my shirt is so subtle, you have to look to know there's a Stay Final patch or an emblem on there because it's not the typical patch. So I don't go in there with my resume. I go in there trying to do my job. And then and I do the other things, hustle, mechanics, voice. I do all that other stuff so that I don't have to sometimes yell and scream at a coach about anything.
So I
Hey,
want to
Wanda,
offer, a female perspective
please do.
about the technicals. I want to start with, like, I know when I heard the gentleman talking, having I feel like it's a lot of banter. I had to learn from that. Experience had to teach me the least conversation that you have, the better, because you're going to have some of these coaches, they're going to write on every word you say, and they're going to bring it back up at a later time. You can feel like you're cool with them at a point, and you can say, yeah, coach, da da da, and you telling them to be professional. If you say one thing off kilter to them, they're going to hold that, and they're going to bring that back up, and they're going to use that against you. So I would limit conversations. I would keep them to a minimum. I would command respect. Of course, as females, we have to command respect, especially working um, men's basketball. I started my career in men's basketball with CPS Boys High School with the Manleys and the Marshalls and pretty much all the West Side schools. I started um, doing the Garfield League. I don't think Marvin was even doing that when they had the park leagues, all the park teams, and some of the private schools had teams in the Garfield Park League when Candace Daniels and Sean, God rest her soul, when they would come and observe Marnita and myself, and we had to be forced to give texts because yeah, we were new, we were young, we were afraid, and we got cussed out, we got called everything but a child of God, and we took that abuse, and it got to the point that we had to learn that that's not okay, and we can police that. And once we learned that we can police that, maybe we over policed it to a point. Like, I know people now telling me like, Wanda, you've gotten soft. Coach is like, you're soft, you take that, you would have threw us out, you'd have given that tech. I'm like, no, I just matured. you know I can have a conversation. Everything is not just the technical, and I understand frustration, but I don't tolerate disrespect, right? So I'm not gonna go word for word back and forth with you. I'm not gonna um say is this side of town versus that side of town. You have to be impartial all the time. You have to have an impartial mindset, right? So we were the first three women, Pam, Donna, and I, to officiate uh the Proviso West tournament that my husband assigns. And this guy Tim Bankston, who played for my husband in the Boston Shootout, he was riding my partners, like he was like, I mean, berating them in a sense, and they weren't doing anything. So I was like, on the time, I was like, listen, we gotta get this guy. We can't let him keep. I mean, like even though he wasn't saying anything to me, he was talking to my partner, so he was talking to me. So I warned them on a play. He was winning. He's just one of those coaches. He's winning, and he's still acting a fool. So one of his players, I think it was a foul, went down. We had the foul, and he was like, "That's what I'm MFing talking about." Da 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 da. You ain't caught. And he was talking to my partner, and I whacked him. And then he was like, "You lucky you a female." I was like, "Okay, now you gotta go." That's the ejection, because I took that as a threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
um this big 300-pound man talking to me, this 127, 28-pound female, yeah. But that's another point of, you have to have your partner's back. For me to tech him and then have to toss him, I mean, I felt, and I told my partners this, and I told, like, one of my mentors. I was like, man, I feel like one of them should have came and got him. Like, I had him on the tech, I had him on the warning, had him on the tech, and then I had to toss him as well. And I'm saying, it's so much more pressure on us as females when we do this. But once you get to that um stage of being fearless about this, or that growth stage, when you say, oh, I've seen his type, I've seen this type, I've witnessed this, I know how to adjudicate this, right? So I'm not getting in my feelings. And then like they expect us as females to be in our feelings. But everybody is emotional. We all have feelings, right? But because we're females, we're thought to be more emotional, whatever. So we honestly take a lot more ish just to deflect that away from us. But at this point and at this stage, no disrespect, no cussing, no confrontation, no trying to show me up, no trying to show my partners up. And like I said, you keep it short and sweet and respectful, and you don't have to worry about that. And next time you see a coach, they pointing at you, talking about you, that's because you done gave them that banter back and forth that now y'all got beef. We don't want that. We want to keep, even some of the most ignorant coaches, you still want to stay professional and keep that level of professionalism. Speak to them and you see them out, still, be cordial and respectful. You have to keep that calmness and you have to keep that aura about yourself. And that's how people know. Like
Wow.
when one of the coaches told me, she's like, Wanda, you've gotten soft. I laugh at that. I sit back, I was like, I've gotten soft. Yeah, yeah. No, not really. I've just grown, right? I've learned how to better communicate as opposed to that's the technical. You have to sit down. Or, that was my weapon. I didn't need that weapon because now I have this weapon to
Wanda,
communicate, right?
Wanda, do me a favor, since you brought that conversation up. Talk about the flip side of that when the coach is talking to your partner, let's say a male partner, and they make some negative comments about you as a female.
Oh,
How,
absolutely. Absolutely. Been there, witnessed that, walked in those shoes, right? I'm on a crew with two men and me and the man, the male coach is talking to my men partners and he's riding me like I'm actually the one getting down court, getting in position, right? Reporting, mechanic sharp and all that. But it's like the good old boy system in a sense. And so my partners, I'm like, sometimes I have to go to my partners and say, dude, you're my partner. Remember that we're the crew out here. It's us. It's not him and you. No, it's me, you and him, right? It's the you one, it's the ref, and it's the you two. It's us. Like we have to keep that bond, and we have to like. Sometimes guys do get off track with that. I don't think that they do it intentionally, but they have to be real back in with that. And I have to fight if I don't have that partner, say, or like I have a partner that's the ref and I'm the you two, and or the U1 or whatever. And maybe the U2 is like, not as strong of official. And so I'm looking at my ref to be that lead, right? To be that leader. And when you don't have that, that's very difficult. That even makes us work as females even more harder. That makes our game more difficult because now I'm mad at my partner because you don't have my back, right? And so we're gonna have to have a conversation. And if you like gaslight me with, oh no, he was just no, I know what I see, I know what I witnessed, I know what I experienced. I've done it, right? So it's like making sure that you all as a crew are locked in with each other. That's the most important thing. I mean, even with females, same thing. Flip that to the female coach. She like, oh, your partner ain't even getting down court, he got whatever. I'm like, well, when he come back down here, whatever, you can have a conversation with him. But I'm not gonna have a conversation with you about my partner. I'm not going to do that because then that creates dissension. And the next time she see me, she's going to expect me to be colluding with her about one of my partners that she don't like. And then when she get one of my other partners and they ride with that, then she's going to have them against me. So that's why it's so important that we as a crew, that we lock in and that we female, male, whatever, stick together and be a strong crew and be a presence for each other, because it's hard. And I know some of y'all been out there. It's hard when you feel like your partner's not with you. It's very hard, especially in a game that you got to work, and you know it's a competitive game. You know that these coaches, they know the rules. You know, like you said, Terry Head, like that's the wrong mechanic. Like, really, Terry, you gonna tell me what the mechanics are? Okay, but we're talking about Terry Head. But, you know, they look for indiscrepancies in us. And when they can find that, I mean, they jump on that right away. So that's very important that you make sure that you gel with your partners. And sometimes you do have some partners like, you know, I'm a bud this and that, and I'm out here. Everybody know me. You know, I'm that popular individual. So y'all two scrubs, y'all get in where y'all fit in. I've seen all of it, witnessed all of it, right? And that's another reason why there's a shortage in officials with all this abuse. And I think if we as a crew would just really lock in and partner with each other and be a real strong presence for each other, then you know it makes our life and our in the game so much easier for us to officiate, male or female. Because I have a lot of younger officials who I work with and train, and they don't feel comfortable and they get timid, and I have to, you know, I have to go get something for them, and I got their back, and they never forget that. They never forget that when you make a younger official feel comfortable, that you, even though they know they out there not getting calls right, but they're trying, but you're partnering with them and you show them that you're partnering with them, they'll never forget that. Because I know I've been there and done that, and I
Mhm.
know when people let me die on the court, and I never forgot that either. Because I'm like, okay, you live to see another day. So the next time I'm going to grow, and be so much better that I don't have to worry about being left out there without any help.
Yeah, and I'll even say this, Wanda, it's not even so much stuff for the female officials. Sometimes the dynamic of the crew, young, old, black, white, all
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
plays a big role in it too. Where am I at?
Yep.
Am I in certain environments? Am I the only black official on with two white guys and they won't talk to the two white guys? I mean, you know,
No, that's a great point. I've been there
they
as well.
well,
Yeah.
I've said this before. I've said this flat out, and I don't mind saying this again. I said the best times I like to officiate is when I got an all black crowd,
Mm-hmm.
all black coaches, all black players, all three black officials. Because the one thing when that happens, I ain't got to worry about whether you talk to that one differently than this one, and you treat them differently. Because I'll be blunt, black coaches treat us worse
Yeah.
than
They
the
do.
white coaches.
They
They
do.
treat it way worse. And I mean, yes, the white coaches will have some of their microaggressions and they will do certain things, but the black coaches will cuss us out. It won't say nothing to our partner who's actually screwed up the call that they're yelling at. And then if we address it, then they're like, "Well, you being sensitive, or you just treating me a certain way, or something like that." And I'm like, "You done cussed me the whole out, and my
Mm-hmm.
partner has screwed up, and not even necessarily screwed up, but they're the one you're mad at, but you won't address them in any way because they think that the minute they raise their voice or they get an attitude with them, they think that there's something's going to happen, but they expect us to take their abuse."
That's
Yeah.
my biggest
Yeah.
pet peeve right there. When that coach says, "Are you being sensitive?" Coach, you have and a fan says like a fan of the team. Like y'all been saying stuff all night now. If I decide to check y'all now I'm all of a sudden sensitive. How?
Well,
How am
we'll
I
see.
being sensitive?
Well, see, and that's the thing. See, that's where because a lot of times when I've heard that from our coaches.
Yeah.
That I've heard that more from our coaches than I hear that from other coaches. Because sometimes what'll happen is what I found is the white coaches when they get mad at you, they'll stop talking for a couple reasons. They either think that you are angry with them, which is another little microaggression because sometimes they'll be disrespectful and they think because I address it I'm angry with you, and then secondly they're afraid to say anything to you because they think that you're going to overreact to something that they're doing. Where the black coaches a lot of times, and again we're talking dynamic of the game and everything like that, they'll be disrespectful because they think you're supposed to be like them. I'm from this side of town. I'm from this, that, the other, and I'm supposed to
Mm-hmm.
treat you a certain way, and you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be because we brothers. You're supposed to take it, and the
Yeah.
reality is no, I don't have to take it. I don't
Right.
have to. I don't have to. I don't care where we are. I don't care we're in Chicago. I don't care we're in the Catholic League. I don't care we're the CPS. I don't care we over on the South suburbs. You're not going to be disrespectful to me.
And oh my God, yes, Jeff, you're really right about that. I remember this white coach telling me, um, I hate those white teams versus black teams, and I'm the only black female or black referee on the game, and my partners are white, and every play is a foul on a black team, but the white girls doing the same exact thing, no call. So
Right.
I'm trying to level the playing field. So I'm like, oh, that's a foul, and I'm telling my partner, well, you just called that same foul down there. This happened, on this end of the court. So when I get it, then the white coach telling me, "Oh, I hope you're not doing what I think." I'm so, coach, what is it that you think I'm doing, sir?
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is it you think I'm doing? Because we have 6 fouls down here, and this is the first foul you got on this team. So what exactly do you
What
think I'm
are you
doing?
doing? Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a coach, and I'll say who I was working with. I was working with Donna Mobley in the northern suburbs. I'll just say that the coach is no longer there, but we were at a mostly white school. They were playing a mostly blacks program. I'll say it that way, in the same conference, and we had a play where the kid stole a ball. It was one of those. It was a play where kid came from behind him and he knocks the ball forward. He came underneath. He got the ball. He never hit the kid's arm. Never went through him. Nothing like that. The play, went on. Then they end up the kid from the black team got fouled. The coach says to me with a straight face, he go, "This is not AAU or something like that." And I looked at him and I said, "What was that supposed to mean?" And now the reason I'm saying this too is because Donna was one of the officials, the other official was black, and probably this is about the only time he might have seen all three black officials on a game on his home court
Mm-hmm.
in this particular conference. And I'm just saying that because I believe that's was the case. And so so I said, "What did you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, this is not," and he kind of stumbled. I go, "What are you trying to imply by this is AAU?" Because I took it as first off, he's trying to say that either we're not professional officials. That's one thing he's either saying, or he's saying because they're playing rougher than we should because they're black, so they obviously have to be associated with AAU ball and
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
kind of conduct. So I'm thinking, okay, what did he mean by that? And then when we had some other things that happened in that game, because we had a play that was kind of like a flop and a foul, not at the same play, but Donna and I had a flop, and then Donna called a foul and something like that. And his whole thing was he couldn't understand how we could understandably call what we called, even though we followed the rule. But it was just like, okay, what are you trying? And this is a white coach now. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, what are you trying to imply? Oh, by the way, the other coach was white too. Didn't say two words. But he was like, so everything was like a microaggression kind of thing where he wanted to imply something about us or something about the other team that we were doing to him as opposed. As a matter of fact, I had to have a whole conversation with Craig about it. 'Cause maybe I'm telling the story, but I had to have a whole conversation with Craig about it, about his behavior. And I basically told him, I flat out told him, I said, I'm not trying to be funny, but I get it that you probably, I know you, the signer before this used to sign a lot of the SPO guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
This ain't that. And
Yeah.
and if he's gonna treat me with disrespect, I said I didn't tee him up. I said we should. Now, what's funny? Donna teed him up later, but
Mm-hmm.
but it was one of the same things you were saying, Wanda. It was like she was protecting the crew because
Right.
he was saying stuff about the crew, and theoretically, I probably should have taken care of it earlier or could have, but this is the conundrum we get into that, like if I do this, is this going to be perceived a certain way as
Yeah.
opposed to if I do this, am I doing the right thing? So
Mm-hmm.
just so the younger officials that are on this understand, we still have these dilemmas in our mind about whether that's the right time and the right situation. Just because we're veterans doesn't mean we don't have those situations that take place, because we do. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's just that we might be better at it because we have been through some of those fires, so we know when maybe that the line really is crossed. But you still think in the back of your mind, it's like, because if I tee his ass up, is this going to come? Am I going to get a call from an assigner about this dumb stuff? Even
Mm-hmm.
though he said something very disrespectfully, but he wasn't jumping up and down and doing whatever. So, maybe I should try to work with him on that. But Wanda, you are right. We probably need to keep our conversations about a lot of things to a minimum. And
Yeah.
one thing I have also done and learned is sometimes if I don't have anything good to say, I just won't speak. But the problem with that, it comes off a certain way. Just
Mm-hmm.
imagine what it looks like if I don't speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not perceived as, oh, I'm just not talking to you because you're an idiot. Oh, he's angry with me.
Yeah.
He's trying to, he doesn't want to talk to me and this, that, the other. And I might not want to talk to you, but I might not want to talk to you because you've been an idiot.
Yeah. And then they'll say, to your partner, can I talk to you? Because I don't know if I can talk to your partner because, they won't, they just gave me a look. Like that look is, what's coming next.
Hmm.
That's that look.
And then when we get certain partners who don't realize this stuff, and I'll just be blunt, white folks, they
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
realize the dynamic of what is going on. A lot of times, what will happen is that makes it very difficult when you are kind of on an island
Yeah. Yeah.
by yourself, because now you're the bad guy, but you're the bad guy because you won't be disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
because you did anything wrong, because you done said all this crazy stuff to me, and I'm just choosing to, maybe this is just the best thing for me not to say nothing to you,
Yeah.
or at least until I figure out what I'm gonna say to you.
Until I figure it out.
Right,
Without penalty.
right, exactly. Because I've gotten those conversations about, well, Jeff, you seem to be kind of. I'm like, so you want me to ignore that he called me all of this stuff? And I said, and I told one assigner when he addressed me like that, I said, okay, next time I'll just tee him up. I said, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. I
Yeah.
said, I'll just tee him up, and we won't have no more conversation. And then if I don't work his school, fine, I'll pass 10 of them to get to there.
Exactly. And that's the other part of that is when you working with, like, when once you go to the north suburbs and they haven't seen all these brown faces, but then you coming out there and they know they know your craft. They know you can run and hustle and get in position, and you're not afraid to make those big calls, but they're friends with your partners, right? So
Right.
your partners are friends with them. They're drinking buddies. So they can do no wrong.
They can
They
do
can
no
do
wrong.
no wrong. But every call you make, I mean, literally, I was on a game like that, and the coach, like, he was winning. But then when the team started turning around, it was one of those teams, and it was Evanston playing one of those other teams, and Evanston was struggling the whole game. And then they started turning it around, and then he was like, "Oh, I don't like that call," and I was like, "Dude, but you was fine with all the calls going against them. You were fine with those." So sorry that you don't like it. And then here comes my two partners who's friends of him. And oh yeah, he was kind of upset because he just felt. I said, okay, he can feel how he want to feel. But a foul and a violation is still a foul and a
A
violation.
violation.
So I mean, y'all gonna come and take up for him. Y'all giving him every single call the whole game.
Hmm.
So that's another dynamic that we have to deal with. The
Hmm.
friendships, the friendships are very hard because again, you're on that island. You're on the island.
Hey, I once had a coach. I said, Coach, every time I make a call, you got a problem. I say, so they must be your cousins or something, because you don't say nothing to them when they come over here. You don't say
No,
nothing
they're
to
my
them.
friends. They friends.
I said, you don't say not one word to them. I noticed that. So, okay, I got you. No problem. That two-piece came next.
I mean, and it's something we all deal with, and I think it's one of these things that we don't talk about enough because obviously when we get together, sometimes we will have these conversations, but it's something that I think we don't share enough with a lot of the younger officials. That the
Yeah.
dynamic of your crew can is really something you got to be careful of because it can affect how certain people will treat you and how your partners will respond. Because
Yes.
sometimes they think it's because oh, you just the angry one. Just the other like, no, why don't you two white boys address him? What you
Yeah.
afraid to what? You
Yeah.
afraid to address him?
Yeah.
Like the one coach I banned, I've never banned a coach until probably 18, 19. I think I banned a coach in the northern suburbs, a black coach, because I had two partners who would never address anything that he was doing, and he was always coming after me. And it didn't matter what I said. I mean, like the thing that he started blowing up about, my partners had a foul. I'm in front of his bench on the trail. There was a fast break, and I just happened to be in front of his bench when both my partners call a foul. So he asked me, and he actually asked me nicely. He goes, "What was your opinion on that play?" And my response was, because I didn't know, I said, "Coach, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what happened. I'm like 60 feet away from it. They got a whistle. They are better people to ask about this play. Why are you always about that? And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, whoa, slow down. Like, okay. And I walked away from it. I was like, I'm not gonna deal with you. I walked away from it. So when there was a timeout, he comes across the court to say, and I send him right back. I said, coach better go right back over there. Do not come across this court, this, that,
Yeah.
the other. So I tee him up in the game. Work with two white partners. One of my white partners, who will remain nameless, says to me, "You need to something calm down or something." I said, "Man, fuck that." Yo, two punk asses who were so big time fucking officials, and said, just 'cause I said, I'm not the only state final official on this damn thing. Why don't you say some shit to his ass? I said, he
Mm-hmm.
bitching about your fucking call. He not bitching about my call. So
Right.
we get together. So when I tee up the coach is he was about 6'4". He was over the official pointing, like looking at me, pointing, waving his arm at me, all this other stuff. And my partner standing right there, he would not tee him up. So when
Wow.
the game got over, I never get this shit. He comes in the locker room and says, "We should have ejected that coach." I about I did the what's the meme where old girl got her bag. I mean, I was just like, I just looked at him like, well, but see, that's the thing. It's like I was made the bad guy in that whole
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was so bad that the assigner at the time, I sent him an email, a text, and said, "Please, I appreciate that you sent me to this school, and I appreciate that maybe some of your schools involve this school a lot, but never in life send me back to this bitch."
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said, I don't care. I said, I passed 100,000 schools to get to that school way up north. I am not coming back to this school. And he called me. We had a whole conversation. He said, "That's funny. He never says anything bad about you." I said, "Well, I don't care what he said because I can't deal with his disrespect."
Yeah, as long as he can be disrespectful, he ain't had nothing
Right,
bad to say.
right. And we don't talk about that part of it enough because I think that's actually one of the hardest part of what we do. It's because it's easy to call fouls and violations. We learned that over time, but dealing with this culture stuff is one of the hardest things for us to do. and especially and I never would dismiss what you said, Wanda, because I have worked a couple times with some women officials, and I work primarily boys, but I never let them disrespect my female partner in any kind of way. I don't even let them make any little slide comment remark.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse. You are not going to be disrespectful to her. I've worked with Donna a couple times. I'm like, and not to their credit, they never said anything directly about Donna, but I will never let them do that. Like, don't disrespect her because she can screw up just like I can screw up.
Right, right,
why
right.
why are you treating her any different than me?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
You know, she
absolutely.
got, and now she got as many state finals as I got. So as far as I'm concerned, we on the same level. So I work with her anytime, and any
Mm-hmm.
female anytime, no problems. It's like, and to be honest with you, I wish our state was a little better with that because that needs to get better too. In
Oh
my
no,
time,
for sure, for
that's a
sure.
whole nother conversation.
A whole nother one, a whole nother. You know, they gotta move some folks around because as long as you continue to keep what you got, you're gonna get what they give.
That is correct.
All right, good people, good conversation. Hope you guys enjoyed
All
the
right.
training tonight. I'm getting ready to call it quits because I got to be up early in the morning.
I got you.
All right, y'all. Good night.
All
Thanks
right,
for
good
all the
All
night,
right,
knowledge.
coach.
Zach.
All right.
Thanks for staying on, Zach.
All
Thanks,
right,
staying on,
good
Zach.
night, guys.
Good
Thanks for
night.
Good
Later.
night,
having me.
Wanda.
All right.
All
Good
right,
talk.
Good talk.
thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. Thank you, Wanda.
Sure.
All right. Good night.